Extension of Article 60, Clause 1, Paragraph B of the Constitution, which recognizes and upholds the principle of security of land or land rights. The petitioners therefore pray that the National Assembly, through the Departmental Committee of Lands, inquires into the matter with a view to ensuring the reverting of the title deeds issued to private owners back to the rightful owners. Honorable members, the petition therefore will stand committed to the Departmental Committee on Lands whenever it will be formed. Since the departmental committees are yet to be constituted, the petition should be handled by the committee once its composition is approved by this House. The committee, when formed, will be expected to consider the petition, undertake to hear the petitioners and report its findings to the House in accordance with the provision of Standing Order number 227, Clause 2. I thank you, honourable members.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of Majority.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House. Today, Thursday, September 14th, 2017. 1, the memorandum to the National Assembly on the ratification of the agreement for the establishment of an international anti-corruption academy as an international organization. 2, reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the year that ended 30th June 2016. 1, Postal Corporation of Kenya. 2, Kenyatta University. 3, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. 4, the National Treasury, vote 1071. And 5, Multimedia University of Kenya. 3, Mr. Speaker, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements in respect of the following constituencies for the year that ended 30th June 2016 and the certificate therein: Bahati constituency, Limuru constituency, Kirinyaga constituency, Baringo North constituency, Baringo Central constituency, Krusoi North constituency, Malindi constituency, Nyali constituency, Tetu constituency, Kilifi South constituency. And the Speaker, with your permission, I'll ask members whose constituencies have been mentioned, new members. You need to go to a table room up there, 7, so that you can get a copy of these audited reports by the Auditor General of your constituencies.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, statements.
Yes, Leader of Majority.
Mr. Speaker, I need you to give direction. 1, as the Speaker, and 2, as the Chairman of the Parliamentary Service Commission. Mr. Speaker, in the Constitution, Article 108, it talks about, under a presidential system of government and a presidential parliamentary system, the leadership of the House, the leader of majority and the leader of minority. And the same is done in Standing Order 19 and Standing Order 20. And Mr. Speaker, the rule and the procedures are very clear that parliamentary parties or coalitions under this system will have their parliamentary group meeting and elect their leadership and do a minuted document to the speakers for them to recognize the leadership of both sides of parliament. So, Speaker, I'm aware our colleagues, the minority side in both houses, have not yet submitted their list as per their parliamentary group meeting and minuted until today. Mr. Speaker, I am shocked. When I walk around Parliament, there are certain leadership of the minority who still enjoy facilities of Parliament under your leadership. I saw the leader of minority, Honorable Moses Wetangula, driving a GK vehicle. Speaker, that is an audit issue. Honorable Moses Wetangula and the rest of the minority team, to the knowledge of this House and to you, Mr. Speaker, as the chairman of the Parliament Service Commission, should not enjoy any facility, whether physical, whether monetary, whether space, within the 12th Parliament, unless they comply with the procedure that we, the Jubilee Coalition, or any other group has to comply with. So, Mr. Speaker, this is going to bring serious audit issue on the accounts of the Parliamentary Service Commission. Speaker, as the chairman of the Parliamentary Service Commission, I want you to give direction to the accounting officers, both in the Senate in consultation with your colleague and in this House, that if you were from the minority and in the 12th Parliament, which now is sitting for the third day, Mr. Speaker, and within the reading of Article 108 of the Constitution, if you have not fulfilled the process, then you can, as well as you consult with the Baba. Speaker, I'm seeing one of the former, PSC member, Honorable Gladys Wanga. She's coming here, she marks her name, and she's going out. Speaker, that is dishonest. That is dishonest, and you are also not honest to Baba. Baba told you not to enter the chamber. But now Gladys Wanga is entering the chamber. She's marking for the 6,000, and Baba is watching you, Mr. Speaker. I think Raila Odinga should know that. Yeah, there's a lot of double speak. And Mr. Speaker, even that is dishonest to the people of Kenya. You're either in the chamber or you are not in the chamber. There are no two ways about it. Since morning, I have seen members of the minority, and now I can see a ranking member, Honorable Gladys Wanga, one of the biggest defender of Baba. You can, cheat anybody else, even Honorable Duale, but not Baba. I mean, not Baba. And I want to tell the people of Kenya, they are cheating the people of Kenya and their constituencies. They are at the launch taking tea. They are in the offices. They are accessing the gym. They are coming here and ticking their names and going back. All the people who are ticking and going back. I think I'm going to take the list and give it to Baba. I'll do that. But Mr. Speaker, as the chairman of Parliament Service Commission, nobody should enjoy the facilities as provided for in Article 108 and Standing Order 19 and 20 unless the parliamentary or the coalition sit and do a minute and submit to you, Mr. Speaker. I saw that, and as a leader of this august House, Mr. Speaker, we are the custodian of public resources. We cannot allow the likes of Honorable Moses Wetangula out there to make a lot of noise, and here he drives a GK vehicle when his coalition has not appointed him as the minority leader in the Senate. And I hope Senator Kipchumba Murkomen will do an official communication to the Speaker and to your honor, Mr. Speaker, but by virtue of you being the chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission, we want you to give direction and protect the resources of Parliament.
On the same issue? On the same issue? Yours is different. Yours is different. Let's hear this one on the same issue. Honorable Jude Jomo.
Mr. Speaker, I was just wondering whether it is in order for the majority leader to refer to Honorable Senator Wetangula as a minority leader in the Senate, while we know very well that they have not submitted their list, and two, he is the only member of his party who has been elected to the Senate. Therefore, if he becomes a minority leader, he will be a leader of himself, not of the party. He is the only member of his party who have been elected to the Senate, and therefore he may not be a minority leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, but maybe he's leading himself. But let me not deal with that issue because it belongs to the other house. But of course, we will. I will be making a communication relating to the areas that touch on the Parliamentary Service Commission. Ona Mwadi, you wanted to raise the same issue?
I was consulting with the leader of majority
I see.
regarding the same.
So on that one, I think I'll give a communication. Oh, Honorable Kangogo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the same issue, I think in the last Parliament, 11th Parliament, I was seated in a HADO committee which was led by the Honorable Naomi Shaban and Jagoe Midiwo, Mr. Speaker. And it was on the same issue with the leader of majority raised about the resources, including the vehicles of the Public Service Commission, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you want to raise the point of order that you have seen the Honorable John Bandi Ngongo.
Yeah, he's again signed. Speaker, another chairman of a party of ODM, he has just signed and walked out. This is double speak, Mr. Speaker. And it's very, very shameful. Raila Odinga is working with a bunch of dishonest, hypocrites leaders who want to eat public resources. Speaker, I want to go on record that again John Bandi has come in and Millie Odhiambo. Speaker, you either sacrifice the 5,000 and agree with Baba. You can't have the cake and eat it. You can't come and sneak for 5,000 and claim that you are in the chamber, and out there you are making noise that you will boycott Parliament. Speaker, for record, I want to say the chairman of ODM, John Bandi, the proposed minority leader himself, is shaming Parliament and the people of Suba and the people of Nyanza and the people of Kenya and Baba.
Honorable Kangogo, you are raising the issue of an ad hoc committee.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think the Simbarati also is marking Honorable Speaker, and I think this is very serious, Mr. Speaker. As a members of Parliament, we have a clear, defined role, Mr. Speaker, in the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, if you check that list at the entrance, even for the morning sessions, almost all the members of NASA coalition marked. Now you can see Simbarat, Mr. Speaker, is walking out and he has even taken water. Mr. Speaker, I think you need to give direction. Mr. Speaker, on the resources which the Honorable Leader of Majority talked about, those members of NASA who are purported to be the whips or leaders of majority, and there is no official communication into this House, Mr. Speaker, you need to look into. Mr. Speaker, some of them, even during the elections, and this one is serious, Mr. Speaker, the GK vehicles which were assigned to some of them, they were changing the number plates and they were using during the campaigns. Mr. Speaker, I think we need to be very sincere to ourselves, and you as the chair, Mr. Speaker, you need to crack the whip and give a proper direction on this matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
On the same issue, Honorable Lentoimaga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the same issue, Mr. Speaker, I think we need to be firm. I know you are going to give a ruling, but Mr. Speaker, why these members are behaving the way they are behaving, it is because of their principles. In the market inside Nairobi, I walked into a bureau today, an exchange bureau, and I asked them, why is the rate of the dollar very, very, very high? The shilling is down and the dollar is high. And they told me, but we are waiting for Baba to take over. That's why, and that's the time the dollar will now depreciate. Mr. Speaker, I think let us take so much effort, put more effort in ensuring that we do election on 17th. And whatever is going on now here, these fellows will be humbled that day. let them even continue not coming here because they are continuing disturbing us. They are continuing eating resources of the country without accounting for them. But let us just continue with business. The way the president has said, let's just continue. Let this thing not divert from what we are doing.
Honourable members, I think a lot of what you are saying could be said in your contributions during the debate, which is, I think, most of it. But of course, also, it's also good to remind ourselves at all times. I can see the honourable member for Mumias West, the Honourable Johnson Naika. You want to say something on this one?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. First of all, thank you for your re-election as the Speaker of this House. But I want to comment on what the Leader of Majority has just mentioned. Mr. Speaker, to say that Baba instructed us not to come to this House, I'm not aware. I'm a member of NASA and ODM. I'm not aware. If Honorable Mbadi has come in and walked out, maybe he has gone for a cup of tea. Now, I am here. Honorable Okuka Unya is here. Honorable Onyura is here. Babu Wino has just been here. We are several. We are coming here and we are seated. So if somebody comes in and walks out, and we are being told that because of monetary situation, as far as I'm concerned, I know the new rules. We don't get any money for coming to sit here for now, apart from the monthly salary. Mumias West people voted me to come to the House and represent them. And here I am. And I will come.
Very well.
So I just wanted the Leader of Majority, if he has issues with the Honorable Wetangula, let him sort it out with the Honorable Wetangula. And from now on, we shall not allow the Leader of Majority to interfere with the NASA affairs. Thank you.
Very well, very well, very well. I think, honourable members, I just wanted to draw your attention to standing order number 87. And if you read through the various subsections, go to subsection 4 thereof, that no member may impute any improper motives on the other except by a substantive motion. So we can do the politics, but let's allow people to play their gymnastics as they choose. Of course, they are people do all manner of things, but I will be making a communication which is going to address the issue of what happens in the Parliamentary Service Commission, particularly. There's nothing to withdraw, Honorable Naika. You know, and you say you are the only one who seems to be here to defend the indefensible. Maybe Honorable Ishongwa, you wanted to raise a different point of order.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I rise on standing order 258 as read together with standing order number 260. On a related matter, Mr. Speaker, to what the Honorable Duale has raised on failure to attend sittings, and also as read together with Article 103(1) sub-article B, 103(1)B. And if you allow me, Mr. Speaker, to read the Constitution and not just go into the standing orders, that 103(1)B says, the office of a member of Parliament becomes vacant if during any session of Parliament the member is absent from 8 sittings of the relevant House without permission in writing from the Speaker and is unable to offer satisfactory explanation for the absence of the relevant committee. And Mr. Speaker, the committee that the Constitution refers to is a committee that you chair, the committee, the House Committee on Powers and Privileges of Members. Mr. Speaker, sir, as much as the issue I'm raising is related to what the majority leader raised, because what we are seeing happening here, Mr. Speaker, with the Honorable John Mbadi, the Honorable Wanga, Simba Arati, Millie Odhiambo, and the many other members of the purported coalition called NASA, which is not even a parliamentary party, Mr. Speaker, are doing, is not just dishonest to the people of Kenya, and as the majority leader has said to their party leader, is actually an abuse of the powers and privileges conferred on us as members of parliament by our standing orders and by the constitution of this republic. Mr. Speaker, sir, in his address to this House only this week, Mr. Speaker, the President did ask members of this House to uphold the provisions of this constitution and to defend. And even those members in the NASA coalition, Mr. Speaker, swore, holding either the Bible or the Holy Quran, to uphold, protect, and defend the provisions of this constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, as not just as chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission, as Speaker, in relation to the provisions of Article 103, Mr. Speaker, it's been stated there in writing that any member who misses 8 sittings without your written permission, and actually, if you read the provisions in Article 260, even if a member is outside the country, he needs to notify you in writing, give you the address of where he is, where he is going, and those provisions are clearly spelled out in that in the Standing Order number 260. I therefore want you to give guidance to the House, Mr. Speaker. One, as to whether there is any member of the NASA coalition who has written to you in your capacity as Speaker, seeking for permission to be absent from this House for whatever number of sittings. Number two, Mr. Speaker, because the dishonesty we are seeing of people coming in to just sign is just to lie to our systems. And Mr. Speaker, sir, the Supreme Court, ignoring the numbers, we may not also ignore these numbers in this chamber today. We can see what numbers are there. We have technology in this House, Mr. Speaker, through our CCTV cameras in and outside of this chamber to be able to ascertain which member was in the House. Because the attendance register is not just to walk into the chamber, sign the attendance register. It is meant to make sure that you come and work and represent your people who elected you, like the Honorable Naika said. He was elected by the people of Mumias West to come and represent them in the House, not to come and sign registers and walk out. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want your guidance as to whether you can give directions to the clerk and the office of the Sergeant at Arms to make sure that every member who walks in to sign that register is a member who is coming to do what he is paid by the people of Kenya. And it does not matter whether you are paid sitting allowances or not. You are earning a salary, Mr. Speaker. And if you are earning a salary, Mr. Speaker, to come and represent people in this House, you either come and sit here or you go sit in the bars or wherever else you want to sit and earn from the bars, but do not earn taxpayers' money and you are not coming to represent your people, Mr. Speaker, sir. Therefore, I would also want your guidance as to whether you can direct the office of the clerk and the sergeant at arms to make sure, as much as we are here to get the biometrics working, Mr. Speaker, sir, if that register has to be moved to the clerk's desk somewhere here or somewhere here to make sure that anybody who signs is somebody who is coming to sit here and do the business that brought you to this House. Because nobody was sent here to represent political parties, Mr. Speaker, sir. And again, let me also offer free advice to members of our colleagues in the NASA coalition that when the Constitution talks about attendance and even our standing orders, it does not speak to attendance by members of a party or a coalition. It is attendance by an individual member. And therefore, responsibility in matters to do with attendance and compliance with the Constitution and all standing orders must be taken to the individual member. Mr. Speaker, I would also beg that you do direct the office of the clerk to make sure that they make public the attendance of all the members who have attended these 4 sittings, including this sitting, Mr. Speaker, sir, so that those who are out there, including those who are competing with our colleagues in their constituencies, Mr. Speaker, sir, they might have forgotten there is a court ruling in a case that was filed in the High Court just when we were on recess during the campaigns. And that court ruling did wonders in matters to do with the recall of a member of parliament, that it is now much easier for any member of the public, any voter registered as a voter anywhere, to institute proceedings to recall a member of parliament. And provisions that previously in the Elections Act, I think it's section 45 or 46 or 48, one of them that was annulled, even bad your competitors, the people you are competing against, to recall you, to institute proceedings to recall you. But the court has now allowed even those who are competing, and I'm just saying this, Mr. Speaker, sir, speaking to those who are out there who are seeking these seats occupied members of the NASA coalition, that they now have an opportunity to come to this house and extract a record in line with the Constitution, because they have constitutional rights to get information from this house as to which members of parliament of the NASA coalition have missed these 4 sittings. And they only need to count another 4 sittings and institute proceedings to recall these people and allow their people to elect people who will come and represent their people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I do beg for, as you can see, Mr. Speaker, sir, there could still be others who are still coming in to sign. And therefore, it is important that you do pronounce yourself on this matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, well, honourable members, like I said earlier on, I will not deal with the issue of who is the leader of the minority in the other house. But I will issue communication, which may be, for the benefit of all Kenyans, necessary to be issued from the chair as well as administratively, dealing with that issue, because the standing orders are very clear. But of course, the issue about how the seat of a member becomes vacant, the various ways. If you look at that Article 103, Clause 1, Paragraph A, is if the member dies, it's automatic. B is if the member misses those 8 sittings in a session without the written permission of the Speaker. And also, in addition, failing to offer satisfactory explanation to the relevant committee, which is the Powers and Privileges Committee. I wish to confirm that I have received requests for leave of absence from 2 members, one of which is unwell. But the others may be doing the things that you have just been describing. So, but I don't know. I have not yet looked at the record, but I think your request for that register being made public, since if you look at the same constitution, it says that Parliament shall conduct its affairs in the open. So indeed, your request is not without foundation. It actually has constitutional foundation, and therefore, in the communication, I will be laying it bare. Of course, I cannot, the member who is dozing next to you would recall many years ago, there used to be that practice of members doing what they used to then call technical appearances. So I may not myself deal with that particular aspect of appearances, but of course, laced with what, those days there wasn't the requirement we have in the current constitution. So the request about making the record public, I think is a good one. It also shows that we are doing our affairs in the open. Honourable members, I wish to make this short communication regarding the induction of members of the National Assembly in the 12th Parliament. As you may be aware, and in keeping with the practice at the start of a new Parliament, the National Assembly has organized a one-week induction program for members under the theme, and I quote, setting the stage for the 12th Parliament, preparing for a smooth takeoff. The workshop is scheduled to at the Intercontinental Hotel in Nairobi. This will be a residential program. Members wishing to reside, honourable members, I'm sure if you waited, you will know the difference between this one and what you expect. This will be a residential program. Members wishing to reside in the hotel are requested to indicate to the office of the clerk Participants who will be accommodated are therefore expected to check in on the evening of Sunday, 17th September, and check out on the morning of Friday, 22nd of September, 2017. This first induction is usually held here in Nairobi, while the second induction workshop, commonly referred to as a post-election conference, organized jointly with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, is attended by key speakers from other jurisdictions and held usually and by tradition outside of Nairobi. It is therefore not this one. Honourable members, this particular induction workshop will deal with various aspects relating to your constitutional duties, including the functions and mandate of Parliament, transformative leadership, and the public trust, legislation rules of procedure, committee systems, the formulation of laws, as well as legislative budget oversight. The program will also offer members an opportunity to interact and share experiences with participants from other arms of government, as well as from the private sector. In addition, and in recognition of family values, members and their spouses are invited for a gala night on the evening of Thursday, September 21st, at the same hotel. The Honorable Caleb Kostani is very excited about that latter bit. Subjects to be covered include: one, my experience as an MP by a former member; the other, the experience of a spouse of a member of Parliament by a spouse of a member; and a new beginning, fame and social life, striking a balance among others. Honourable members, it is also notifying that members who may not have submitted registration documents during the pre-swearing-in sessions take this opportunity to submit the documents. The documents include a current curriculum vitae, a duly filled biodata form, copies of ID cards, passports, and passport photographs. The members will also be expected to update their personal information with the relevant offices of the National Assembly. Honourable members, let me take this opportunity to welcome you all to the workshop as we endeavor to create synergies amongst ourselves as we embark on the path to nation building. A logistics memo for the workshop has been prepared for your information and can be picked from the office of the clerk. And I thank you all our members. Well, of course, the rider to that is that you could also inform those that may be doing their legislative oversight work in the villages or in market centers, those who may not wish to be here, or those ones you say who are in the bar, if they desire to attend, of course. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Debate on the President's address, third day.
Honourable members, I may just wish to remind, the record doesn't show me whether anybody was, is anybody? Yes, so maybe you can just sit, because the information that has come through is that the member for Runyenjes has a balance of 4.5 minutes. So you may just, and also to remind ourselves once again, those that have contributed are not expected to contribute again. And I can see the member for Kipkelion West and the member for Mosop. I'm aware that they contributed. Member for Runyenjes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity once again. I want to congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, for your re-election to lead the 12th Parliament. And I also want to take this opportunity to once again thank the people of Runyenjes constituency for giving me an opportunity to serve them in the 12th Parliament. I also want to congratulate the Honorable Cicely Mbarire, who is my predecessor. Runyenjes constituency is one of the few constituencies that have 2 MPs, and I want to believe that it is an opportunity for us to combine high experience and the energy that we have to serve the people of Kenya and of Runyenjes constituency. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to go back to the President's speech. Let me say that the speech was short, it was precise, and it was very focused. And the President's speech was focused at bringing unity and reconciling the people of Kenya. And one thing that we need so importantly in this country is the unity and the reconciliation that the President talked about. Then the other thing that I noted about the speech was that it had everything to do with Kenya and not the President. And that portrayed the President as a selfless leader and a person willing to do everything he can to ensure that the country moves on well. Then the other bit is that, Mr. Speaker, the President's speech dwelt on the youth and the women of this country. And I want to thank the people of Kenya for believing in the young people and for investing in the young people. And it's my hope and prayer that this Parliament will be very proactive in passing laws and policies that will help solve the problems that are being faced by the youth of this country. It will pass laws that will help the young people not just get jobs, but also be at an opportunity to create jobs for themselves and for the rest of the young people. So, Mr. Speaker, I also want to pass a message to the NASA coalition. You realize that in the recent days and months, the coalition has been threatening and passing statements that are not doing this country any good. And the people of this country spoke in one voice and said that they wanted one Uhuru Kenyatta to be the president. And what we are witnessing now, Mr. Speaker, is that there is uncertainty when the NASA coalition says that they will not have elections. And this is not good for the economy of this country, the economy that everybody, and particularly the young people, are relying on. So I would wish to urge them
Sorry, members, let me just say this. The clerks will try to locate you where you are, so you don't have to come to the dispatch box. They are trying to reorient the machines, which appear to have been disoriented by those, the more powerful ones, from the president's office. Now, as you know, again, given his position as the father of the house and the deputy leader of the majority party, let's just give the no there.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me a chance to contribute for the first time in the 12th Parliament. The Speaker, on the presidential speech, the President was very clear that he wants this country to be united. It was very clear he wants this country to be developed, the entire country to be developed, so we can move to the next stage. We can move from third world to our first world. Mr. Speaker, what the President is asking the Kenyans to do is not something which has not happened elsewhere. Mr. Speaker, for those who know how Singapore jumped from third world to a first world with no or little resources, can support the President in his endeavor to make this country develop. If you can look at the case of China, which within a period of 20 years moved from a third world to a first world, we can actually move from third world the next 5 years or the next 10 years, if God allows the President to continue and also he hands over to His Excellency, the Deputy President, William Ruto. This country will jump from third world to a first world. But you cannot achieve that unless you are united, unless you are committed for the welfare of this country. Mr. Speaker, I'm at times shocked. Is this the same country that we have been living before, where a person tells, an individual tells members of parliament who have been elected by thousands and thousands of Kenyans that you cannot attend a session of parliament? That you cannot need, what you can only do is go and sign and run away. And they agree. And I'm particularly concerned.
Order member, where are you? It's never done that way. No, don't do anything. Go to the door, go to the, not there.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I'm particularly concerned about the National Assembly members. I remember a week ago, when we were being sworn in, members of the other side were told not to come and swear in. But later on, they realized that they might be rendered.
Member for Lysamis. It's never done that way here.
How you are keeping my time? Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I'm particularly concerned about the National Assembly members. When they were told not to come and participate in the election of the Speaker, the people who told them not to come here and elect our Speaker participated in electing the Speaker in the Senate. And they don't see that. Are they kids? To the other house, the house we created recently. And yet they are giving them directions. Mr. Speaker, I want the National Assembly to keep its integrity, to keep its record in this country, and to guide and direct this country to the first world in development. With those few remarks, I begged. The Superior House.
Member for, now, your constituency, the Honorable Machogu, Nyaribari Masaba. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to take this opportunity to, first and foremost, express my very sincere thanks to the Almighty God for being so gracious that He gave me and all of us here the opportunity to serve for this 5-year period, and also, Mr. Speaker, sir, to take the opportunity to thank you and congratulate you for being elected plus the Deputy Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to take the opportunity to thank the people of Nyariwari Masaba for having the confidence and the faith in me and the great honor that they have bestowed upon me to give me the opportunity of serving them during this particular time. Mr. Speaker, sir, I first want to make my remarks concerning the speech given by His Excellency the President to this House last week, Mr. Speaker, sir. One, there were three pertinent and cardinal issues that came out very clearly in the speech of His Excellency the President. One was the Constitution of this country, which, Mr. Speaker, sir, is the foundation and indeed the core of the nation, and our survival as a country means that we have to uphold the Constitution of this particular country. Mr. Speaker, I thank His Excellency the President because he has not only shown, but demonstrated that he is clearly able to obey, uphold, defend the Constitution of this particular country, and he has done so, Mr. Speaker, by indeed, as much as he did not accept the ruling of the Supreme Court, he said he has accepted and we have to move on. I would request my fellow members of Parliament to emulate what His Excellency the President has done, because we cannot go condemning the Supreme Court. Let us respect as much as we don't agree with that particular ruling, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the second had a very important thing that His Excellency did highlight in his speech is peace and security of our country, because we know that indeed the prerequisite of development, all aspects of development, is security and peace. As a country, we have to stay united. And His Excellency the President has made it very clear that actually we are one people. Language or religion should not be able to differentiate us, because we are one. Our focus, our challenge, our aspirations and needs as a people of Kenya are one. His Excellency the President is determined to deliver on his agenda. And we know that he has a development agenda for this country for each and every part. Look at the infrastructural projects that he has initiated. Look at every other aspect of development that he has been able to initiate in this country. Indeed, each and every one of us should be able to give him the support that he so requires, so that he can be able to deliver legacy, he can be able to deliver the development agenda for each and every part of this country. Like Mr. Speaker, sir, where I come from, people require delivery of services. People require to improve the quality of life. Our women are going far distances in search of water. Our youth want decent jobs. Our people require to improve on their livelihoods. And I think that is why we swore as members of Parliament to discharge our functions diligently, conscientiously, and faithfully. So when we come here and make technical appearances, we indeed are not being honest to the people of Kenya. I think it's time, because the people who came with the standing orders, they never envisaged at any particular time that it will come to a time that a member of Parliament who is called honorable will make only technical appearances. It's time that we revisit that particular aspect of the standing order, such that if we find that some of our colleagues are behaving as such, because that amounts to a wastage of public funds, then we should be able to do something about it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Member for Kajiado South. What do you mean East? That one is South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank God and to thank the people of Kajiado South for giving me this privilege and honor to represent them for the 4th straight term without interruption. Mr. Speaker, and I promise that I will serve them to the best of my ability. Mr. Speaker, coming to the President's speech, it was a brief speech, and for those who have been here before, there was no any legislative policy or proposed statements. It was mainly, and I hope he will come very soon again after the 17th of October to outline the legislative framework or policies that his government would like to be implemented. But this one of 2 days ago, Mr. Speaker, is specifically about bringing the country together. It is about unity. If you refer to his speech, he talked of no one should disrupt our hard-earned peace and stability. He again mentioned the need for us as we compete in this environment of politics to compete in a free atmosphere, but without becoming a threat to peace and security of our nation. Again, he went on, he talked of all political players should really avoid engaging in divisive and destructive politics that have no place in the modern Kenya. That really bring it all to say that the president, as a symbol of national unity, was talking about the need for the country to be stable, to come together, and above all, coming from a party that calls on bridging bridges, that talks of Tuko Pamoja, you will really understand the background of that speech, that call for unity, for stability of our nation. And I think, Mr. Speaker, that comes to the need for us to adhere to that, especially now that we are still talking about an election, presidential election coming ahead. We should not be distracted to issues that will actually affect our economy. Mr. Speaker, as we go there out in public, shout the loudest, in a way we will affect especially the private sector, which is one of the most driving or drivers of our economy. And therefore, I want also to urge my colleagues that the more we make noise there that are divisive, that will not bring this country together, Mr. Speaker, that will just end up in shrinking our economy, and that will not be good for, not only for this country, but also for this region, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the President also talked of the need for us to uphold the Constitution that all of us here have sworn to protect and to defend, and that's why he talked of the three arms of government, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive, to really work together, but without interfering. I know at times we are independent of each other, but at times we are interdependent. But there is need for us, for these three arms of government, to really appreciate the role assigned to each other by the Constitution and not really interfere. You remember, Mr. Speaker, in the last parliament, we have had so many cases where the judiciary was injecting parliament, be it the National Assembly or the Senate, on issues that were before this House. And I remember we passed a constitutional amendment that should stop that, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, as much as the President also talked about that independence of this institution, I call upon the politicians, actually, at times some quarters don't want the judiciary to be attacked, but they continue attacking the IBC. And IBC is also an independent institution, Mr. Speaker. And I think for us to move smoothly as a nation, we need to respect these independent institutions that are all creatures of the Constitution, just as this House, that is the representative of the people, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, because of my time, there is a very serious drought in this country, especially in the pastoral areas, and that will affect the turnout of voters as we go to 17th of October, and therefore there is need for government to mop up resources and try to see how those areas can be assisted in terms of provision of.
Member for Cherangany. No, no, contribution to this motion. No, members, I consult the record on a point of order. Yes. So not in contribution to the debate. And also, because I don't see very many people from the other coalition, then, or he is representing that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my contribution yesterday was on a point of order.
Proceed, no problem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me mention from the onset that I thank the people of Cherangani constituency for giving me this opportunity to come and represent them again in the National Assembly. I'm not taking it for granted. Shimuraya is real. Mr. Speaker, allow me to contribute on the presidential speech. Mr. Speaker, the president's speech in Parliament is coming at the time when the ruling coalition is feeling robbed their victory after the elections that we believe it was free and fair. The president mentioned very well that sovereignty of the country lies with the people, and the people exercise their will on 8th of August. Mr. Speaker, and unfortunately, there is a price that has to be paid on a democratic process. They went to court, and I can say without fear that the allegations against the entire process lacks substance. And given upon opportunity, after the elections will be over, we will revisit the matter, and I suspect that some people will be accused of using illegal evidence to overturn the will of the people. We are going to the elections on 17th. Jubilee government is ready. The president reaffirmed his commitment to the rule of law. IEBC has no way out. Elections must be held. And if it doesn't do the elections, it will be contempt of court. Nobody has power to stop this, and anybody who will want to push the election forward has to go back to the judiciary to seek concurrence. We are prepared. Mr. Speaker, it is not happening for the first time. Some political actors in this country are known that every 5 years they must cause problems. They must beat drum wars. They are the masters of violence. People have lost lives anytime there is an election. Point of order. Mr. Speaker, in 2007, when I was a member of parliament, my constituency was affected by post-election violence.
What? Kibwezi East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Jessica Mbalu, the member representing the people of Kibwezi East, serving my second term. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Kutuni, is it in order to debate about the elections and re-election? Should be addressing his people and thanking his people. Mr. Speaker, he is not a presidential candidate, and we are waiting for the 17th. We will exercise our duties. Mr. Speaker, I belong to the NASA coalition, and we are here as independent to debate, but he's not a presidential candidate. Mr. Speaker, I abide with the NASA rules. Thank you.
Well, what the Honorable Joshua Kutuni addressed is contained in the president's speech.
Mr. Speaker, I understand the circumstances that she is, because she has to please the masters and the goddess. And that is what they have to do. Mr. Speaker, I will continue. In 2007, my constituency, people lost property. Some people lost life. This country is not ready for a post-election violence. We are prepared to go for the elections, and we want to tell our opponents that if they are not ready. Yes, Mr.
Yeah, no. I want to hand the member for Chirangan some 30 seconds, which were taken by the...
Thank you.
Frivolous, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to tell the opposition that the country is not ready again to go back to 2007. We are ready for elections, and we are telling IEBC that they should not be intimidated. They should not be scared. They should prepare for elections, and we are saying the Ministry of Treasury, they should bring the money. They should release the funding. Supplementary budget needs to be discussed in the House so that we give them resources to prepare and to lay framework for a free, fair elections. I thank you.
Well, I need some, you see, there's something called regional balance. Now, given what I've had so far, member for Eldas.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say something now, but I will not say. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with profound humility, respect, and appreciation, I want to thank the people of Eldas for giving me another opportunity to be their member in this 12th Parliament, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at times you say a member of the August House. And I want to urge all members, those who are around and those who are still outside in their villages, to look at the true meaning and what the framers of our parliamentary practice had in mind when they coined this term, August House, and whether really it has any correlation with the technical appearances that we have been seeing here over the last few days, Mr. Speaker. For me, the only thing that I can discern from the technical appearance is appearance that is meant for pecuniary gains with desire to deceive the taxpayers, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I will leave that to their conscience, because it's something that really, if we have to debate, it will take a bit of time. Mr. Speaker, secondly also, because I do know in the next few days, in the next few weeks, these colleagues here will be transiting from the pressures of politics to the pleasures of politics. And therefore, let us also not be carried away by the circumstance, because it's temporary, it's a temporary gift from God, it's also a temporary gift from the voters. And the voters at all times must be regarded in the, really, they are our employers. We are their servants. And therefore, I think that must be appreciated. And whatever they do here, somebody in the villages, somebody somewhere, always take cognizance of what we do here. And I think that should always be one thing. Mr. Speaker, secondly, we have, and one thing that we have emphasized over the years is institutional independence, Mr. Speaker. While I really respect the decision of the Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker, as a country, we will not be prepared to allow any individual to ascend to power through extra legal means or extra constitutional means, Mr. Speaker, which I see right now is being referred to by everybody, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, elections come and go. And again, for news members, and I know because all of us are fairly old here, I want us again to look at the different aspects of the Vision 2030. We have three key pillars: the economic, the social, and the political pillars. The other two pillars are working. The one that is not working is the political pillar, simply because the elites, the governing class, Mr. Speaker, have failed to meet the very expectation of the people of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, last night I watched a program on the level of underemployment and unemployment, Mr. Speaker, in the region. And Kenya leads. It should have been the other way, because really we're an economic hub. Why? Recently, under the leadership of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, we are about to graduate from being a member of being referred to as a member of the least developed countries to at least now a member of developing countries, Mr. Speaker. And really we're headed. And that is what the Honorable Jimmy Angwenyi actually was referring to. Somewhere 50 years ago, 60 years ago, Kenya was a donor nation. South Africa was in existence as a country, but was not independent. South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, these countries, what has made them? Mr. Speaker, I think sometimes when I reflect, we require a bit of somebody, a leader with dictatorial tendencies, Mr. Speaker. Because if you look at the history of those countries, including China, the way they have developed is not the kind of politics that we experience in every day here. That after every election, we have to be prepared. Donors have to pull out. We have to close the stock exchange. The shilling must be devalued. These things must come to an end. We have a country. I just want us to reflect for a moment. the geopolitical history of all the neighboring states. Kenya is the only lucky country that has not gone through political turmoil, that has not gone through the quagmire of having a military coup. We need to thank God. We need to move. We need to graduate. And this is why really elections come and go. It is the electorate who will decide. It is the individual voter who will decide who they want to represent them. They cannot be coerced. They cannot be forced. The only thing that we can do is to give them an enabling environment to vote. And this is why those who are perpetrating for violence, and really, we have a country. And this country must be protected. It's not, theoretically we say we are the best country in the region. We say we are the economic hub. We say we are the security hub. We say we are humanitarian hub. These tags can easily go away if really we are not careful, in particular the political class. That is why I want to urge our colleagues on the other side. And I have been a senior member actually on the other side in the last parliament. It is the wish of the people. Let us do whatever we do in line with our constitution. This is why I say that we will not allow anybody to ascend to power through extra legal means or extra constitutional means. We must all accept and submit to the will of the people as enshrined in the constitution. And this is the only way we can proudly say that we have a thriving democracy.
Member for Laikipia County.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa sababu ya kunipatia nafasi na pia macho yako kunielekea, sichukui likiwa jambo la kawaida. Na pia nichukue nafasi kushukuru watu wa Laikipia wote kwa sababu mliamua kwa sauti moja kwamba mtatuma mama kijana katika bunge la taifa, na nashukuru sana na nitawafanyia kazi. Ya pili pia ningetaka kuchangia kuhusu mswada ambao tuko nao katika bunge siku ya leo, na pia nikinukuu maneno ya rais wa Jamhuri la Kenya Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta ya kwamba anataka sisi wote kama viongozi tushikane tuelekeze taifa la Kenya katika barabara moja. Na niseme hivi, Mheshimiwa Spika, wacha isiwe ya kwamba sisi wana Jubilee tulio wengi katika bunge la taifa tutazuiliwa kwenda mbele na kutumia muda mwingi tukipatia wale wengine walio katika upande ule mwingine wa serikali nafasi kuu, ili hadi tungekuwa tukifanya miswada ya kuleta manufaa katika kwa wanakijiji wetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, niseme ya kwamba uchaguzi umebakia siku chache tu. Watu wengine badala ya kukua katika bunge wakichukua hii nafasi ya kuweza kueleza wananchi waliowapigia kura sababu ya kwa nini wanafaa kubatili kura zao ama wasibatili, wao wanaleta kacheche katika bunge. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi naunga rais mkono 100% kusema wembe ni ule ule, na Mheshimiwa Spika, hakuna rais mwingine ambaye tunatarajia atakayekuja kupitia kwa anga, kwa maji ama kwa nchi kavu ila Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Naunga mkono.
Deputy Majority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to also add my voice to this motion. And I want to begin by congratulating all the members of parliament that have found their way here in the 12th parliament. And especially so those that are been elected the second, third, or fourth time. It's not a mean achievement. But let me take a special moment to congratulate all the women that have found their way into this august house, and especially so the women that have come through the single-member constituencies, those that were brave enough to face the men in the constituencies and made it to this house. And we are very proud because we now have 23 women elected from single-member constituencies, up from 16 in the 11th Parliament. I personally feel very encouraged and proud of you, ladies. Kudos to all of you. And also, particular attention to the fact that of the 23 women, 16 actually are from Jubilee, and Jubilee affiliated, one of them being an independent from Turbo constituency. We are very proud of the work that Jubilee Party is doing in terms of political empowerment of women. And the fact that the president in his own speech did actually mention that and said that he's proud of the many steps the women of Kenya are making towards political empowerment, and the youth too. Let me also congratulate my own MP, the Honorable Eric Mushangi, Karemba, who has taken up Runyenjes constituency after me. I'm very proud of his achievement. Mr. Speaker, sir, he's a great guy who can do a great job for the people of Runyenjes, and I'm very sure he's going to take that constituency to the next level. And I want to assure him of my full support as he does the work that the people of Runyenjes have sent him to do in this house, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to go straight to the gist of the matter, which is the fact that we are just a few days to elections. Mr. Speaker, sir, there's no doubt in our minds that the victory of President Uhuru Kenyatta was robbed from him even when he had won. And he did say that we do not agree with what came out of the Supreme Court, but we appreciate that we are a nation that we must uphold the rule of law, we must uphold peace, and we must ensure that the very fabric of unity in this country is not in any way destroyed. To that extent, then, we are ready for the elections on the 17th. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the avoidance of doubt, it is important for us to say here that the President of the Republic of Kenya, to date, and until the next president is sworn in, remains President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And nobody can take that away from him. And so he continues to play the role he has to play, according to the Constitution, as the President of this country. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is worrying that we have decided to take the ruling of the Supreme Court piecemeal. According to our opponents, that is NASA coalition, they are agreeing that it was okay for the victory of Uhuru Kenyatta to be annulled. They further go ahead to say, yes, we are ready to go to elections, but yes, we do not want to go to elections with IEBC. That is clearly stated in the ruling, that IEBC will call an election within 60 days. But then they say, no, we are ready to go to elections only if certain people in IEBC are out of office. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, they have agreed that they'll only take the ruling in piecemeal, not wholly. They want to go to elections only when they have certain people who they agreed to in that office. Mr. Speaker, sir, we must say no to selective application of the ruling. We must insist that the elections must be held on the 17th of October, as has been gazetted by the IEBC as constituted today. And Mr. Speaker, sir, we must not allow ourselves to be intimidated that there will be no elections without certain people, and insist that there will be elections on the 17th as per the Supreme Court ruling. And I want to add my voice to that of Honorable Kutuni, that in the event they have any concern about that ruling, let them go back to the Supreme Court, seek interpretation of that ruling, so that they may...
Member Vosirisia.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance also to air my views. Mr. Speaker, sir, the President's speech was good, and to me, Mr. Speaker, what impressed me on that day was empowerment of, when the President highlighted on the empowerment of women in this country, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, the President and his deputy or Jubilee government has shown practically for the last 4 years, Mr. Speaker, we have seen a lot of changes on the side of women of this country, Mr. Speaker, being put in different positions. Mr. Speaker, the President highlighted on so many things that he embraced the country, Mr. Speaker, for the last 4 years, Mr. Speaker, this country has changed in terms of development in every corner, Mr. Speaker, because I've managed actually to go around when I was on the Committee of Security. Mr. Speaker, I have seen and realized that they have really, him and Honorable Ruto have really tried to develop this country, Mr. Speaker. In terms of infrastructure, we can talk we can show many things that this government has done. Water and electricity all over in the country, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a unique president all over the world. I can repeat, because he accepted the ruling of the judiciary or the ruling of the Supreme Court. To me, all over the world, he showed that he really loves this country and he respects the constitution of this country, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, he showed on that very day. If it was somebody else, remember you have been declared the winner, and then again the court rules otherwise. So we really congratulate our president for that, and we, as his foot soldiers, parliamentarians, we are going to make sure that we talk to our people in our constituencies to make sure that we re-elect our president, and we are going to show them it is going to be even triple than what he received on 8th of August last month, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the insecurity of this country, Mr. Speaker, when the president highlighted on the security of this country, Mr. Speaker, the insecurity of this country, Mr. Speaker, has changed, not like before. When they took over, this country had a lot of problems with the security, but now we are happy. We can do anything. We can walk. You can see even in towns like Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, there were so many robbers, but it has come down. So we appreciate that the leadership of President Uhuru has really changed this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he again highlighted and he told the country to respect the constitution of this country, Mr. Speaker. By doing so, he showed himself as an example because of love and unity that he highlighted on that very day, Mr. Speaker, and that is why he gave in his success to the opposition. So they won their way, but us as people who made sure that President Uhuru won, we were not happy, and even up to today, Mr. Speaker. This country needs unity, and it needs a president like President Uhuru, even when after Uhuru retires, we need somebody who can mind for the welfare of this country, Mr. Speaker. So I just want to thank my people for Sirisia constituency for having elected me again. And
Member for Igembe North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to take this moment to record my support for the speech by His Excellency the President on the 12th of this month, and begin by thanking the people of Igembe North for electing me to this August House for the 4th time, especially this time after an interval of 10 years. The other point, Mr. Speaker, that I would like to highlight is what was contained in that special address and the tone and the content of the President's speech. If you check, it did not expound a lot of issues about governance for the next 1 year. It was very specific about the national unity that we need. And, Mr. Speaker, the presidency, as defined in our Constitution, happens to be the confluence on which all the other arms of government meet, whether it's the legislature or the bills we sign here, usually end up being signed by the president, or the judges who get appointed to the Supreme Court or to the High Court, they end up being signed or sworn in by the president. So the presidency is unique. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, we need to emphasize on the need for unity and talk to our colleagues on the other side of the House. Tell them we do not have a spare country. Tell them we do not know what theory or ideology of governance that you would use to go to a Supreme Court, get a ruling, and when you are walking home out of that ruling, you start stammering with what you had there. The language, Mr. Speaker, was very clear. We have to have an election within 60 days from the 1st of September. And that election is to be conducted by the IEBC. Mr. Speaker, there was no provision in that ruling whereby the Speaker, the judges of the Supreme Court did assign the IEBC to arbitrate the grumbling, the yawning, the dreaming and the screaming by our colleagues. The Supreme Court said we go and do an election supervised by the IEBC. So if you are having problems in understanding what they said, we needed to tell you what it was. That is, this country has a very good institution called a judiciary. That judiciary has come up with a ruling which is unprecedented in the continent of Africa and number 3 in the world. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, all the people who are panicking about this country are just not normal. It is the only country you go and do that kind of ruling, and the whole country is moving, there are no riots in the streets. I know it would have been the other way if the other guys are the ones who had gotten a bad ruling. There would be chaos, there would be bloodshed, and I'm sure that is what they were planning and wishing, and they missed it. That is what they are wishing to visit upon this country. We are to have an election on the October 17th. It is not the wish of any of us here. It's the wish and the voice from the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya. The president deferred with the ruling, did not like it, but he respected it. Now those who were awarded the ruling, or the fair judgment according to them, they don't seem to be ready for elections, because that was not their intention. The country needs to be very clear and very sound that on October 17th, there will be an election in the Republic of Kenya for the office of president. And it is not the wish or the grumbling or the dreaming or the wishing away by any demands you give. This is not time for demands. It's time for campaign. Go and seek elections. Go and seek for votes so that you multiply what you say was not transmitted. This time, I ask Kenyans to be loud and clear. No stammering. We are going to have elections, and I wish President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto would win with a bigger majority than they won on the August of 8th. Thank you.
Now, the member here, I can't, which constituency? Banisa, member for Banisa. The member for Ainamko, you contributed in the morning, but I've seen you standing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My names are Honorable Kulo Malim Hassan, MP Banisa. Mr. Speaker, I begin with thanking the people of Banisa constituency for having elected me to this August House. Mr. Speaker, this has been a long overdue, in the sense that I looked for this position for the last 25 years. This was a quarter century. But the people of Banisa said after a quarter of a century that I go and represent them. I am greatly humbled, and I will live to that expectation, Mr. Speaker. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to move to the subject of our the subjects which we are now deliberating on, and that is the address of the President. Mr. Speaker, the address of the President was a balanced, a very short address which was devoid of polarization. But what really catches my mind in this address is when the president referred to the arms, the three institutions that we have, the independency of the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature.
Member for cases, here you can't go to there. You go up to the door, and then just.
Mr. Speaker, the decision that was made by the Chief Justice of this country and the Supreme Court to nullify the presidential election gratified many and disappointed many. Mr. Speaker, we, the coalition of Jubilee Coalition, Jubilee Party and its affiliates, were greatly disappointed by the decision. But our president, and that is what really moved me, accepted the decision, and he used his discernment and wise judgment to accept the decision, and he said, inasmuch as he differed with the judiciary, he will accept the decision and accept the ruling of the Supreme Court. No other presidents in Africa, and is only few in the rest of the world, who have ever accepted such a kind of ruling. And this is unparalleled in the annals of history. And it is because of this that I became very touched by our president as a man who has the tenacity, the courage to lead this nation to prosperity. Likewise, the people who celebrated and were gratified by the decision were the opposition. But Mr. Speaker, they say in English, you have to stop at the victory. The opposition, that decision of the Supreme Court was a victory for the opposition, but they should stop there. In that, they should accept the decision, and whatever ruling that has been made by the Supreme Court, they accept, and we go for election come 17th of October. Mr. Speaker, allow me to quote from Frank Fanon's book, Black Skin, White Mask. And Fanon says this: a man is a yes, and a man is a no.
Member for Samburu East, West. You must appreciate, one of members, the diversity of this country is such that we have to move from, that's Mandera, Banisa is in Mandera County. Then we'll just wait, you'll see the rest. Oh yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to take this opportunity to first congratulate yourself and all the leadership of this House for being elected. And I would also like to congratulate my colleagues for being elected to this 12th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to take this opportunity to most sincerely thank God and the constituents of Samburu West for electing me as their Member of Parliament, for making history, for electing the first woman to represent them in Parliament, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, listening to the speech of His Excellency the President, when he said that he's very proud of the women of Kenya, he does not just say it, but he walks the talk. From what you have heard, although I stood on a KANU ticket, it is an affiliate of Jubilee Party, and Mr. Speaker, the women who have been elected, the 16 of them, he has held our hand and he has supported us, those from Jubilee Party and its affiliate, Mr. Speaker. He has done it, and we have continued to see it, and we hope that even our opponents will also learn to support their women and young people, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, there is one thing that His Excellency the President spoke about. The opposition do not want this country to move forward, Mr. Speaker. They want to hold this country hostage. They want the world to believe that Kenya is on a standstill. That is why they do not even want His Excellency the President to preside over the official opening of this House, Mr. Speaker. And it is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that they want to read and accept the Constitution when it suits them. They want to accept the ruling of the Supreme Court because it favored them. But the Constitution is also very clear that we have a president in this country, and he has the power to continue with his work, and one of them was to preside over the official opening of this House. So they cannot read the Constitution when it suits them and are happy with the Constitution when it suits them, and when we also continue as a country, they refuse and they're not happy about it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to say that we are confident. The numbers did not lie when we went for elections, Mr. Speaker. And even in the ruling, it is on issues of technicalities. They did not ask for a recount of the votes, Mr. Speaker. They did not refuse that we did not win. They just said things of transmission and things like that, Mr. Speaker. And so if they're very confident of their numbers, then let's meet on the 17th, Mr. Speaker, so that as a country we can move forward and have the election behind us, Mr. Speaker. And so I would like to say that we are ready for the elections, Mr. Speaker, and if they are also ready, let us go to the ballot on the 17th, Mr. Speaker, as a country so that we can move forward. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the President also spoke on issues of peace and security. And it is very unfortunate what we saw in Kisumu when people go and disrupt a meeting that is going on. And we would like to say, Mr. Speaker, that violence will only take us many steps and miles backward, Mr. Speaker, and we really want this country to move forward. And so, just as what was said yesterday, that violence will not choose where you come from. It will not choose which political party you are in, Mr. Speaker. And we cannot continue to misuse our young people for our own political selfish gains, Mr. Speaker. And I would also like to comment on the issue of our colleagues coming in here and just signing and walking out, Mr. Speaker. I believe it is selfish, and that is why we want it to be published so that their principals also know who are sneaking in and signing, because probably they don't know that they are coming to the House, Mr. Speaker. We want it to be published so that their principals also can know. And it is unfortunate that Senator Wetangula in the other House is participating in the election of the Deputy Speaker, while he is telling other members do not participate in the business of this House, Mr. Speaker, and even in our committees. They will not hold us hostage. We will continue with our work, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Member for Limuru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I will start, Mr. Speaker, by thanking the people of Limuru who saw it fit to have me a second time here, having first been elected in 2007, and I scored a first because I vied for the first time and they got me in. And even this was a first because they are not known to re-elect somebody back to this House. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I would want to congratulate you on your election as the Speaker of this August House. And knowing very well that we did this even as the loose coalition called NASA boycotted your election. But we made a statement, and a statement which we are very proud of. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would want to congratulate all of us, the members who were elected. I know it is usually very tough, and for you to find yourself here, it is a big achievement. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing the issue of the presidential speech. And I would want to say this, that for a president like Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta did, to come to this house and with all humility talk to us and tell us of how he accepted the decision of High Court. Though bitter, it must have taken him a lot of courage. We are also saying to our people, please accept that this country has got systems and processes must be followed. We cannot allow that we have commissions which are put in place under Chapter 15, and there are ways and processes of removal of officers in those commissions or commissioners, and then somebody decides that when you go and skid on the tarmac, then some commissioners are going to leave office. We are telling our competitors, sorry, that is not the way. And it doesn't matter how much you are going to skid, it doesn't matter how much you are going to boycott parliament, but business will continue. We have the numbers, but the numbers are for Kenyans. It's not only for Jubilee. The debate that will be here, the development agenda that we are pursuing is going to assist the whole of the republic. And we are not just going to look at where we got votes. So that as the debate ranges, Mr. Speaker, sir, regarding the Supreme Court, and which we gladly accept their verdict, they should also know that we have a constitution. And if I was seated in the seat of the Chief Justice, I would ask myself, who is more supreme? Is it me or the people of Kenya? So what does Article 1 say of the Constitution? That all sovereign power is vested in the people. And so I would have thought what process, what pain I was going to take the people of Kenya through by telling them that, look, because of certain Form 34A and 34B, then all that you did, you woke up, you went and voted, you queued, but all that is nonsense because of Form 34A or B. Actually, the issue was not about the numbers, it was about the process. And if you find, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the other side of the coalition, what they are doing even now, they are saying, we want those results to be electronically transmitted on 17th of October. And I'm sure, even in US, we got a state where electronic voting failed, machines failed. Suppose it again fails on 17th. These people will say again that elections were not free and fair, that they were not conducted. No. The answer is every side of the coalition, go out there, talk to the people, look for your votes, and let the best person win. To the Supreme Court, the sovereign power is with the people, and please, for the second time, don't waste our time. We are wasting time and money, and we have 12 billion now, which we are losing.
Another county, voice from Kipkelion East. Members, I must be able to, I must balance that way. This one now, I know I've not heard from Narok.
Asante Bwana Spika, asante sana, umenipa hii nafasi, na kwa niaba ya watu wa Kipkelion Mashariki,
ningependa have an extra 30 seconds. So you have, actually you have, yes, 40 seconds.
Asante Bwana Spika, nitarudia tena kusema kwamba asante kwa kunipa hii nafasi, na ningechukua fursa hii kwa niaba ya watu wa Kipkelion Mashariki kushukuru wewe na naibu wako kwa kuchaguliwa tena kuwa spika wa bunge hili la kitaifa. Ningependa pia kuchukua fursa hii kushukuru watu wa Kipkelion Mashariki kwa kunipa nafasi nyingine tena kuendelea kuwa mbunge wao, na ningesema nitatumikia hawa kwa nguvu yote vile nilikuja na nikaahidi ya kwamba nitafanya hiyo. Bwana Spika, vile vile ningeshukuru hawa wa Kenya wote kwa kwa kuchukua fursa yao na kuchagua viongozi mbalimbali wenye wako nyumba hii, na ningependa kuwapongeza sana kwa kujishindia ushindi huu. Vile vile ningeshukuru wa Kenya kwa sababu walichukua fursa ya kuchagua Rais Uhuru Kenyatta na naibu wake William Ruto. Ingawa kotini ilikuja kabadilisha hiyo, lakini hiyo sio hoja. Jambo la maana ni kwamba Kenya imeonekana dunia nzima ya kwamba ni nchi inayojali sana usalama na amani. Jambo la kubadilisha matokeo ya urais, Bwana Spika, niliangalia mimi kwa upande nyingine. Niliona kama ni Mungu alikuwa anatumia Uhuru Kenyatta kuonesha dunia nzima ya kwamba yeye ni mtu anaheshimu sheria, yeye ni mtu ya amani. Kwa sababu yeye miaka iliyopita tena yeye alichukuliwa na naibu wake wakapelekwa huko kwa katika koti ya kimataifa, na yeye akiwa rais akakuwa Mwafrika wa kwanza kukubali kwenda kotini ya kitaifa, na kusema yeye ni rais na hawezi enda. Alishukisha kiti yake, akaachia naibu yake na akapanda ndege akaenda, na Mungu akashuka akamfungua kwa minyororo haya. Vile vile upinzani ilikuwa na ngojea ya kwamba Kenya itapigana. Kwa sababu gani? Ati hao walikuwa wanasema wanashinda. Na wanashinda kwa nini? Ati kwa sababu ya karatasi tu, sio kwa sababu ya kura. Wakaenda kotini na walikuwa wamehaba ya kwamba kotini ikiamua kwamba Uhuru Kenyatta amechaguliwa vizuri, basi ni vita. Na hiyo Mungu akabadilisha. Akaangalia roho ya watu wa Jubilee, kaona hawa ndio wazuri. Akasema basi mrudie kura. Na tukaendelea, amani ikaendelea ya Kenya. Na hiyo tunasema asante. Lakini hatuwezi kupelekwa hapa na pale, Bwana Spika. Rais hapa amesema kwamba tarehe 17 yeye amesalimu amri, amesema kura turudi tarehe 17 vile kotini liamua. Lakini sisi hatuwezi kubali ya kwamba hawa jamaa wa upinzani ikiongozwa na Raila Odinga amekuwa kigeugeu miaka mingi. Yeye anasema ati sisi hatuwezi piga kura tarehe 17. Sasa mimi nauliza, yeye ni koti kuu ama yeye ni nani? Amesema hawezi kuenda kupigiwa kura. Hiyo ni sawa, asiende, hatuna haja naye. Lakini juzi amebadilisha tena, anasema ati sasa kura itapigwa. Mimi nauliza, nani anapiga kura? Wananchi watapiga kura. Sisi tunataka kusema hivi, wale wako kwa upinzani na wale wako kwa serikali, mjione. Sisi tukiwa bunge, Jubilee imechukua kiasi kikubwa ya viti kwa hii bunge. Vile vile imechukua kiasi kubwa kwa bunge ya Senate. Imechukua viti nyingi katika bunge zetu zile za kaunti. Na tunasema tutaendelea. Wakubali ya kwamba watapiga kura, wasipokubali sisi tutapiga kura. Na sisi tutaendelea kwa hii Kenya. Na tunataka amani na tunataka maendeleo. Kwa hivyo Raila Odinga ajitayarishe, tutashinda yeye kwa kura nyingi zaidi, na shindwa kwa sababu alikuwa na risasi moja tu. Hata nashangaa Kalonzo Musyoka aliahidiwa ya kwamba risasi ilibaki moja. Ilitumia tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8. Sasa anashindwa, anangojea risasi gani itumike? Si anangojea ashindwe. Asante Bwana Spika.
Sia sauti kutoka kaunti ya Nairobi. Member for Isambu. You know, we must balance. And if you know that somebody from your county has just spoken, just allow others whose counties have not been heard to also be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also wish to join my colleagues in congratulating you and our Deputy Speaker on your election. I also want to extend congratulations to all new members of Parliament and the ones who are continuing with me. Mr. Speaker, special congratulations and maximum respect to the people of Loisabu who have returned me to Parliament for the second round. Mr. Speaker, this is my third season in Parliament, having served in the 6th Parliament, the 11th Parliament, and now starting the 12th Parliament. I want to thank the people of Loisabu, all the way from Soweto to Marurui, to KU, from USIU, NYS, GSU, Kamai, all those estates in Loisabu. And I want to thank them especially for electing His Excellency, the President, and all Jubilee MCAs in the 5 wards. Mr. Speaker, as I debate the exposition of public policy in His Excellency, the President's speech, I want to dwell on the matter of devolution. In Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, we have a Jubilee majority. MCAs, we have 45 of them out of 85. And it is our hope and trust that Nairobi is not going to be a city in the garbage, as had been turned by the NASA coalition, who have been at the throne for the last 5 years. I congratulate also the residents of Nairobi for voting overwhelmingly for our Governor Mike Sonko, and I appeal to him to work closely to the Jubilee, with the Jubilee MPs and also the opposition MPs, because the 17 members of Parliament working together with all the 85 elected members of County Assembly in Nairobi can be able to deliver services. Our Constitution in Chapter 11, Section 189, provides for the cooperation of the 2 governments, the county government and the national government. And we, as members of Parliament representing the national government, are appealing to our governor that we create links and bridges and we cooperate to bring development to the city of Nairobi. I say so because, Mr. Speaker, about 85% of the services the residents of Nairobi require should be provided in the devolved functions of the Nairobi City County. I'm talking about functions like water, sewage, garbage, roads, and health. And as members of Parliament, we will chip in when it comes to security and education. It is therefore important for the residents of Nairobi to feel the delivery of services that members of Parliament, the national government, and the county government of Nairobi work together. Mr. Speaker, touching on politics and the ruling of the Supreme Court, it is true most and all of us Jubilee supporters felt hurt, but like our president, we gracefully accept that we should go for another round of elections, and we plead with the other side to act with decorum this time allowed when we defeat them again.
Member for
My name is Oro Oyoka, Member of Parliament for Bonchari constituency in Kisii County. I was here briefly in 2013, 2014. You didn't get to know me. I wish to thank my people for bringing me back here again. I hope to serve a full term this time. Reverting to the presidential address to Parliament, when I look at the decision taken by His Excellency the President I see somebody who's choosing unnecessary evil for the purpose of the Constitution and for the purpose of peace. Where I come from, Mr. Speaker, donkey meat is not classified as food. Whereas the donkey does a very good job carrying luggages and all those kinds of jobs, when it comes to its meat, we don't see eye to eye with it. But if today you asked me to choose between eating donkey meat and losing my sight, I'm not stupid. Of course, I would say, give me the donkey meat. I'm not accepting it because it is palatable to me. I'm not accepting it because it is sweet. I'm only taking it as a last resort to save my eyesight. When I look at what the president did, he must have examined his conscience very much. That is why he decided to choose the Constitution of Kenya and to choose peace. He had other alternatives to choose from. He is a human being like me, like you, like anybody else. He could have said, no, I can't accept this. I'm the winner. Very many millions of Kenyans have voted me in. And now somebody is telling me I'm not the head of state. And had he taken that route, you know what kind of Kenya we could be in today. Looking at peace, because he dwelt on the issue of peace. When I look at elections, Kenyan elections, there are some scenarios which keep on repeating, and we want to move away from this. If you look at the prelude of elections in Kenya, people are always moving. There is an exodus of people moving mainly from urban areas into the rural areas. Some of them are genuinely moving to go and vote. There are very many who move not because they are wrong to vote, but because they have fear for the aftermath of elections. They don't know what will happen. They have bad experiences from 2007, 2008. That's why they are moving. To an extent that even after the election is over, there are others who don't want to go back to their workstations, including public servants, civil servants. I remember there came a time after 8th of August when civil servants were being asked to report back to their offices. Not that they have lost interest in their jobs, but because they don't still know what will happen if they went back to those places where they feel they are unwanted. We want to move away from this kind of thing. I know on 17th of October, something similar is going to happen. I'm not saying it should, but I anticipate something similar is going to happen. Very many people are going to move for fear, to an extent that there are others who move and they don't vote where they are supposed to vote. Because come the voting day, they are outside their polling stations. That's why I am urging Kenyans, and especially the members of parliament, to promote peace in our respective areas, and Kenya will be a better country to live in. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Voice from which county? Now, Mandela has had a chance just a while ago. Voice from? We've had Kipkelion just now. Just hold on. Elgeyo Marakwet. Nandi. Let's hear a voice from Elgeyo Marakwet. Yes. Who is which one? No, let's hear from Elgeyo Marakwet.
Yes, yeah.
Where? But can you introduce yourself? Is it?
Sit down, honorable members.
But now get this way. Eh? No. Elgeyo Marakwet.
Mr. Speaker, my time is being eaten up.
I'll give you an extra 30 seconds.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, my name is Daniel Rono. I represent the constituency called Keio South. The immediate former member of Keio South is was called Jackson Kiptanui, and is still Jackson Kiptanui. And the previous one was the famous total man, Nicholas Biwott. God rest his soul in eternal peace. Mr. Speaker, sir.
For avoidance of doubt, just in case people don't know where Keio South is.
And Keio South is in Elgeyo Marakwet County, where the famous Murkomen comes from. Honorable members and Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to thank God, first and foremost, for enabling me to come to this house. In many occasions, I have made attempts to come, and this was my third time attempting to come to this house, and I was successful. I'm forever grateful to the Keio South constituency members and residents for voting me overwhelmingly to come to this 12th Parliament. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to congratulate you for being elected the Speaker of this House for the second time, and of course the Deputy Chairboy, who was also equally elected. I wish also to touch on the President's speech, where he touched on good governance that delivers to the people peace, security, and prosperity. We do know that our President has done a good job. And as he enumerated all his achievements, we could know that there is no doubt we are going to vote him in for a second time. And now even the third time, now that we have been forced to go back to the ballot. He did touch on the progress of devolution, which has been achieved through collaboration between the legislature and the executive. He equally went ahead to prevail upon us to uphold the supremacy of Constitution, which he himself respects, and that's why he actually accepted the decision of the Supreme Court. He also equally emphasized that Kenya is progressing well and that all arms of government are in place, and there is no matter how people jump up and down, the opposition running up and down, going to Kipera, coming back, making appearances here, Kenya will continue and Kenya will progress ahead. Mr. President also, sir, emphasized that we, the Jubilee family, are set to take Kenya forward, and I support him thoroughly. I appeal to these members, honorable members, as we go back to our constituents, we talk to our members, we talk to our people to come out and vote man to man on the 10th of October, so that we can prove to the doubting Thomases that President Uhuru was rightfully elected during the 8th of August. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
A voice from Nyandarua, Kipipiri constituency.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this debate. And I want to, this being the first time I'm speaking, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate each one of us for having made it this far. I know the elections were tough. I visited not less than 15 counties in the course of the campaigns, and I know what each one of us went through. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, and for having won the confidence of all of us to lead us for another 5 years. And your able deputy, my friend, Honorable Cheboy, and the latest kid on the block, as it were, the Honorable Kindiki in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, and obviously the Honorable Lusaka in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the people of Kibipiri decided that I should be back. And I'm glad some of the people who had said Kemunya must go have now gone. So now we can be here for another 5 years, thanks to the people of Kibipiri and their wise decision. And for that, I will forever be thankful. This is the third time I'm representing them, having been here on the 9th and the 10th. And I do believe we have a long way to go. May I also take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to thank the members of this House for the confidence they showed yesterday in confirming our appointment to the House Business Committee with my colleagues. I don't take that for granted. And we've already started working, and I'm sure we'll continue working for the benefit of the membership of this House. Mr. Speaker, turning to His Excellency's speech, as the Honourable Member for Kajiado South did mention, in the ordinary circumstances, we would have had a very elaborate discussion. I had a big speech by His Excellency, showing how the very robust, the very elaborate Jubilee Manifesto is going to be converted into policy, into actions through this House. But we know we're operating under very unique circumstances brought to us courtesy of the challenge that was imposed on His Excellency, despite the 8.2 million people who turned up and voted, an overwhelming win. But we know the challenge, we respect it, and we'll continue. And I'm sure come October the 17th, the people of Kenya will reaffirm the choice they had, and we'll be back to business. And I do hope at that point that His Excellency will come here and articulate that very robust Jubilee Manifesto and how it's been translated into programs to improve the quality of life of the Kenyan people. Mr. Speaker, what we are at, I know there have been concern that some of our colleagues are not coming, and but I want to take it from a different perspective. I'm encouraged that despite the pressure they are having that they should not participate in this House, that they are actually finding time to come and defy their leadership and show, even if you don't tell, if you tell us not to go, we will go and sign that register as evidence that we are participating in Parliament because we believe that Parliament is properly constituted, and that's why they're coming. So let's encourage as many of them as possible to come, let them sign, so that their leadership can see that there is actually documentary evidence that despite being told not to sign, not to come, they're actually coming. We need to liberate our colleagues. We know they are under pressure from a dictatorial leadership, but it's only by encouraging them to come that they will find even peace within the seats as they eventually get that courage to not only just sign, but to come so that we can together move along this House. Mr. Speaker, with those words, I wish every one of us success in the next 5 years, and I'll be there to support us and when.
Member for Umurwa Dikir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance. On the onset, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank God, the Creator, and the people of Umurwa Dikir for giving me this second chance to come back to this House and serve them again. Speaker, I know my people from Umurwa Dikir went through a lot during this election. Mr. Speaker, they went through a lot of pain, persecution, and agony. Some people died. Speaker, others were hospitalized, others are rotting in jail because of an election, Mr. Speaker, which I have never understood why it had to be violent. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to touch much on that, Mr. Speaker, because it reminds me of what some people did to our people. But I want to thank them for their patience and for their consideration that I should be brought back to this House to serve them once again. So, Speaker, I want also to thank you and your deputy for being re-elected to this House. Speaker, on the matter of President, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say Kenya is a great nation. It is a nation that almost each and African country right now admires. Speaker, and this is because of three fundamental things. Number one, the handing over of power by the former President Daniel Arap Moi to the opposition. It was a landmark which no other African country has done. Speaker, the second was the passage of the Constitution. You know, Mr. Speaker, in most of African states, the Constitution is normally passed during war. But in our country, Mr. Speaker, we pass the Constitution at the time of peace. Third, Mr. Speaker, is the court ruling. The court ruling. It was one of the most amazing rulings in the world. Mr. Speaker, it affected our president. But I want to say, Mr. Speaker, you know, they always say the law is a nurse. And you know, the judiciary is a creature of this House. It is a creature of the Constitution. And sometimes when it cuts the other way and it comes back, Mr. Speaker, we would rather understand that this law that we are dealing with is an us. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank three people. I know it is very controversial, but I must thank three people. Number one, I want to thank Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga has been relentless on democracy in this country. He's been fighting for democracy, space, and most importantly, the latest is jurisprudence in this nation. When he decided to go to court instead of going to the street, Mr. Speaker, I thought Raila was going to kill this country. But when he said, I'm going to court, Mr. Speaker, I thank him, and I said, God is great. Mr. Speaker, number two is Maraga, the Honorable Maraga. When Maraga made that fearless, steadfast, and true to his calling decision, Mr. Speaker, we thought it was wrong. But I think he was also God sent to show the world that Kenya can make a decision extraordinarily. And Mr. Speaker, most importantly, I want to thank the president of this country. Because I think also, like what my colleague said, I think it was by design that God wanted to have this ruling so that Kenya can show the world that Kenya is a democracy. Kenya believes in the rule of law. Kenya can believe in the Constitution. When the president accepted the verdict of the court, although he said he didn't agree with it, but he accepted the verdict of the court, the whole of Africa was at standstill. How? How can a sitting president accept a verdict like this? Mr. Speaker, I think the world thought maybe this country will go to the docks. This country will decide to go to war. But our president made a decision that I will call Solomonic. Mr. Speaker, the president showed the world that he's a statesman. He's a patriot, and he believes in the rule of law. Forget about the whining and ranting and all that. Mr. Speaker, we have another chance. On 17th, the world will know that Kenya will go for another election without a problem. I want to congratulate the president of this country, and I wish him good. I also wish my friend Raila Odinga good on his endeavors. Let's go to this election peacefully. Whoever wins this election.
Voice from Nandi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the
Kindly
opportunity.
introduce yourself.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Wilson Kipngetich Kogo, MP Chesumei,
in Nandi County. As I stand here, Mr. Speaker, sir, and first of all, I want to thank the people of Chesume constituency for the opportunity they gave me to represent them. It is my first time to be in this honorable house, and I want to say that it is history in my life. I have always dreamed of this, and I'm happy that it has come to reality. I also want to thank the people of the great Nandi County for having had a very peaceful election on 8th of August. And as leaders of Nandi, we appreciate that peace that we witnessed during that time. And more so, for having chosen the youngest governor in the whole county, for having chosen the youngest senator in the whole country. And we really want to appreciate, because I believe and we believe that they chose people who can take our constituencies and our county forward. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the people of Chesume to congratulate you, Speaker, to congratulate the leadership of the House, to congratulate the members of this honorable House for having been elected to serve our people in this great country. Coming to the speech of the President, I want to mention here that when the court gave the ruling, I'm one of those people who had fear, because I didn't know what would happen next. And remember in 2007, the problems that we witnessed during that time. I prayed for somebody to stand up and probably provide leadership. I want to state here that I appreciated my President Uhuru Kenyatta for the way he stood up and provided leadership for the sake of this country. That was a time that anything could have happened with that ruling from the court. As the President has stated before, it was a very painful moment for him, and I believe for the Jubilee family. And I would say that it took the hand of God and the wisdom of the President, that we saw leadership in him, and that we saw a leader who loves his country. I saw a leader who loves peace. I saw a leader who means well for this country. Having accepted the verdict of the court, having respected the Constitution, I thought that was leadership in itself. Honorable members, if we have to take this country forward, if we have to ensure that there is progress and that we are moving in the right direction, it is good for us to take note of the fact that it is a choice. We have to choose. And I think that is what our President did. He indeed chose to take this country forward. Congratulations, our President. How I wish our honorable members in the opposition can shelve their personal interests for the sake of this country. I want to ask them to look at the bigger picture and appreciate the fact that we need each one of us if we are going to move forward as a country. For IEBC, forget about the noises in the streets. Can you prepare for the elections? Because we are ready and the people are ready to.
Honourable members, let me just remind ourselves again, like I did earlier. If you have contributed to this debate, whether yesterday or today morning, Please, allow others to have a chance. The member who has just contributed yesterday. That is against our rules. You know, it is not right. Let me hear a voice from Baringo County. The Honorable Kamket. You appreciate that we have not heard a voice from Baringo County this afternoon. Yeah, we have to go to do it that way, please, to give some element of equity.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have been trying to catch the Speaker's eye since yesterday, and as the immediate former Speaker for Baringo County Assembly, I must say that it's not very pleasant to be on the other side. Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to thank the great people of Tiaty constituency in Baringo County for giving me this chance. For those who do not know, Tiaty constituency was misrepresented for 15 years by the immediate former chairman of the Committee on Security. I am happy that I'm now here to represent them properly and in their interest. Honorable Speaker, some time back in 1997, February 1997, I was employed by the Kenya National Assembly as a Hansard reporter. So I sat in that box up there for a good 5 years. I resigned to go and study. And then I was employed again here for the second time. And then I resigned to go and vie, and I lost. I am happy that finally I am back home where I belong. I kept saying to myself that I belong in Parliament either as an employee of Parliament or as an employee of the people of Tiaty. I am greatly humbled for this opportunity. I am, Honorable Speaker, I am greatly humbled also and honored to have been elected as a member of Parliament through the Independence Party, the party that brought this country independence, the one and only party that we all belong, Kenya African National Union, chama cha baba na mama na watoto. The Honorable Speaker, now coming to what the President said on the occasion of the presidential address of this Assembly, I must say that the President came and did his constitutional duty after the Supreme Court reinstated him, not as an aspiring president, but as a sitting president. Honorable Speaker, the only thing that I want to thank the people of Kenya for is the peace that they have maintained since the ruling of the Supreme Court. I want to commend the people of the Republic of Kenya for maintaining peace throughout this period. I am sure that there are some who are wishing for the opposite. And I'm very thankful to the people of Kenya for maintaining peace at this very defining moment in our history. Now, in the last election, on the 8th of August, the people of Teate constituency were a bit generous with their vote for very good reasons. They voted 50-50, 50% for the opposition and 50% for His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. But we have a saying in the Pokot language that you cannot chase a man, that when you chase a man, you do not cross the river when they have crossed. So in that spirit, therefore, as we move towards the 17th of October, I want to pledge, and I shall be asking my people to turn up in large numbers and vote for His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta 100%. I shall personally lead that campaign. We have our own issues. Those are issues I am sure we shall have them addressed as we move along. One of those issues is rampant extrajudicial killings happening in Teate and Laikipia, the killing of livestock, which is an abomination by security officers, and I'm sure those matters shall be addressed as we move along. The Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is a gentleman who is drowning. He is the captain of a drowning ship. All that he is doing now is trying to clutch at straws, trying to destroy institutions, and he wants to see or to count how many people he's going to drown with. Tribal profiling of individuals who work in those very key pillars of our democracy will not help him. And I want to offer free advice this afternoon to that great gentleman that please, even if your wife or daughter or girlfriend or whoever is made the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, the results will be the same. You shall lose, my friend.
Member for Naivasha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jane Kihara, member for Naivasha constituency, also known as the Happy Valley, in the great Nakuru constituency, where Jubilee vote, it's a vote basket for Jubilee. I wish to congratulate all of you members for going through a very rigorous campaign, coming out and scratched only maybe your pocket. Mr. Speaker, I'm humbled by the way Naivasha people voted for Jubilee, and they gave me a chance to serve them again after a break of 10 years. I don't take it for granted. They missed my leadership, and I really thank them. I thank them for electing the president with a very high vote. Mr. Speaker, it may be worth mentioning that I was elected with the second highest vote in a single constituency after Ruiru. Naivasha people, I love you. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank everybody who helped me in one way or the other. There are those who helped me with their finances, helped me in kind, and specifically I would like to thank Honorables Ichungwa and KJ, who came to my youth event, peace event. We called it Mzuka Youth Concert. Don't ask me what Mzuka is. Like I said, it is youth. That is what they called it. And they were very happy for the visitation of those two members. Mr. Speaker, the president visited us last Friday. And we assured him that we are ready to vote for him on the 17th of October. We are all waiting. We know we were hurt by the ruling of the Supreme Court. But like everyone has said, we take it in a stride and get ready and go out and campaign for President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy. Mr. Speaker, on the president's speech, I was very excited, like he has always talked about peace. You know, Naivasha in 2017 was the hardest hit by post-election violence. Myself, I ended up in the famous Ocampo envelope. I have carried that baggage for 7 years, trying to fight it out. So when our president and his deputy were put in The Hague on trumped-up charges, I knew what they were going through. I may not have gone to The Hague, but there is not a single investigator, researcher on this case who never interrogated me. But all said and done, that is past us. Now is to talk about peace, peace for our nation, peace for the children. About NASA, I think it is very, very unfortunate, and especially to the newly elected members who have been excited. They have been put in office by Wanjiko, and their principals who have had their time in this house have refused them to come and participate. You can imagine how they are feeling.
Member for Marsabit County. County Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Safia Sheikh Aden, women representative from Marsabit County. I'm honored and highly humbled to be representing my people in this August House. I would like to thank all the people of Marsabit County for having faith in me. I hope to surpass their expectation. I will make use of this position and highlight the many challenges women face daily, not only in Marsabit County, but many parts of this nation. I would like to congratulate all the new members, as well as those who have been re-elected. I would like for all of us to unite and work together work for Kenyans who elected us. Our struggles, fears, challenges are all the same across the nation. And we can only succeed when we bring our heads together and find solutions to the many problems our people face in the different parts of our country. I would like to sincerely thank all those who worked tirelessly to put the new constitution in place, and due to that, we women have the representation that was essential for our growth as a society. I would like to acknowledge to this House today that I appreciate the speech by our President, especially when he touched on peace and unity. As a pastoralist woman who is experiencing tribal conflict in my county, I understand what he meant by peace. Peace is very essential. Without peace, we cannot be able to develop anything. We cannot be able to carry out any activity. We have seen many examples, like in Somalia and other countries that is neighboring us, what's going on in their countries. So let's unite as leaders and as people from this nation and try to maintain peace in our country. Lastly, I would like to wish you all the very best as we all undertake this journey. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you listening to me. Thanks.
Can I hear a voice from Kirinyaga? Kirinyaga, Kiruya Kutus? Kirinyaga Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. May I take this opportunity, first of all, to introduce myself. Wambogo John is my name. And I would also want to sincerely thank the people of Kirinyaga Central for having faith in me and having elected me among the many. I would also wish to thank the whole of Kirinyaga County for coming out in large numbers on 8th and voting for the president with the highest numbers of votes in terms of percentage. I believe come 17th, do it again, and let Kirinyaga again shine by being the county which will vote for the president with the highest number of votes in terms of percentage. Having said that, I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate the Speaker for having been elected. I believe you are going to guide this House for the next 5 years. Coming to the presidential or president's speech, I want to touch on two things. The president was very clear in his speech about peace and security in the country. We all know what peace means. We owe it to our forefathers who gave us a peaceful country. It's upon us to bequeath peaceful and secure country to our children and our children's children. We cannot run away from that. As we go through this re-election, let us maintain peace, let us maintain security. It is only through peace that on 17th October, Kenyans again will come out and express their will. Again, the president touched on at least the three arms of government. That is judiciary, executive, and legislature. We all know for a country to run, the three arms of the government should respect each other and work together. I think, on my part, when judges are interpreting the law and the Constitution, the basic rule should be the public good of the country. And taking that into consideration, to me, never again should this great country of ours be subjected to another election on very whimsical grounds. I say it is not by accident that throughout the world, I think only 3 countries have announced a presidential election. The bar should be so high, the threshold should be so high, such that to overturn the will of the people, the evidence should be so clear as the day follows the night. I wish to call upon the people of Kenya, don't be tired, come out on the 17th and express your will again. Thank you so much.
Now, the member for Belgut. The member for Belgut. I better mention constituencies and then you can introduce yourself, because that's the only way now I'll be able to. Yes. Member for Belgut now has the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Nelson Koech, representing Belgut constituency. First and foremost, I take this opportunity to thank the great people of Belgut for affording me an opportunity to represent them in this great house. Again, I want to congratulate my fellow members for the election. I specifically want to congratulate the member of Bomet East, who also doubles up to be my mother-in-law, for her election. Mr. Speaker, I'm still at pains. You know, after we came back for the swearing in and after the Supreme Court ruling, I went back to my people of Belgut, and I'm at pains to explain what really happened in the Supreme Court. People are asking, we elected you, we elected the president, and again you are coming back to ask for votes. It is unfortunate, so that as much as the president spoke about respect of the rule of law yesterday, I want to mention that what happened in the Supreme Court was a judicial coup. And in streamlining, I really want to laud the president and say, I will be part of the team that is very ready in working on streamlining our judiciary, so that when people exercise their constitutional mandate, it does not become a subject of 6 or 4 people to overturn the will of the Kenyan people. I want to say on the presidential address as well, he did mention that the 3 arms of the government should work together. I was taken aback when I didn't notice, I didn't see the judiciary represented in this house. And Mr. Speaker, maybe you should take an opportunity and ask for an explanation as to why members of the judiciary were not in the house on during the day the president didn't speak to the house. It's important that all these organs work together. I also want to say, as a young person, the president didn't mention, on giving an opportunity to youth, persons with disabilities, and women. And I'm very happy that even though Some of people with disabilities did not make it on elective platforms. Jubilee felt it fair to nominate some of them. One of them has just left, was my head boy in high school, Honorable Sankok, who I also must congratulate. On the issue of hate mongers, that one is something that also I must allow the President for mentioning that he will not tolerate. As I'm speaking here today, I do border with members of a community that are firmly in belief of one of the principles. And 2 days ago, there was high tension. We do supply them with milk and vegetables, and there was a lot of tension that at this moment, we are not able to take our products to our nearby market in Sondu because of the tension that is being created by an unnecessary political talk by the political class. Like one of our honorable members did mention here, we will go back, we will request for votes, and I know the people that I represent in the Great House, the people of Belgut constituency, will again reaffirm the position that they had voted for in the 8th August election of voting back His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta. Thank you very much.
Member for Taveta constituency.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Pia mimi sina budi kujiunga mkono na wenzangu kuwapongeza kwanza kwa kuchaguliwa kwenye bunge hili la 12 baada ya kinyang'anyiro kilichokuwa kigumu. Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka pia kuchukua nafasi hii na fursa hii kumpongeza Mheshimiwa Rais kwa msimamo wake wa dhati kwa upendo wa nchi yetu na kutuliza wananchi kuwa kuna umuhimu wa watu kuhudumisha amani wakati huu tunavyoelekea kwenye uchaguzi wa tarehe 17. Mheshimiwa Spika, Wakenya wengi walipigwa na butwaa tarehe 1 wakati uamuzi ulivyofanywa, uamuzi ambao ulikuwa sio kuridhisha, na juu ya vile vile uamuzi wa mahakama kuu ambao haukueleza ni kwa nini wamefanya uamuzi kama ule. Wakenya wengi wamejiuliza maswali, na shangaa nikisikia watu wanashangaa kuwa kwa nini tunashangaa. Ukweli ni kwamba ukifanya uamuzi kama ule, kuna umuhimu wa kueleza sababu gani zilizowafanya wafanye uamuzi kama ule. Wakenya walitoka kwa wingi tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 kwenda kupiga kura ili kuchagua viongozi wao. Sisi ambao tulioko hapa, tuko hapa kwa njia ambayo iliyo halali, na tunaambiwa ya kwamba uchaguzi wa urais ulikuwa una uhalali. Mheshimiwa Spika, vipengele kadhaa kwenye katiba yetu imempatia mwananchi nafasi na fursa ya kuchagua viongozi wake. Si sawa kwa uamuzi kama ule kufanywa na tusiambiwe ni kwa nini. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile vile wabunge waliochaguliwa katika bunge hili la 12 wakumbuke ya kwamba wana jukumu walilopatiwa na wananchi wao ambao walitumia haki yao ya kidemokrasia kuwachagua kuja hapa. Bunge letu la kitaifa lina wabunge wa pande zote mbili, upande wa walio wengi na upande wa walio wachache. Na kwa kawaida kwa sasa hivi walio wachache ni wale ambao wako upinzani. Jamani, muangalie, msigeuzwe mkawa wana sarakasi ama wana vitimbi, kwa sababu upande wa bunge la Senate wenzenu wamekwenda wamechagua spika, wamerudi leo wamechagua naibu wa spika, lakini nyinyi mnaambiwa msifanye masuala yaliyowaleta hapa na haki yenu iliyowaleta hapa na wananchi wenu waliowatuma hapa, msifanye kazi zenu. Ni kuwa wanaowatuma vile wameona kama nyinyi watoto wadogo hamjui mlilokuja kufanya hapa bungeni. Ninawaomba ndugu zangu, mkumbuke umuhimu wa uchaguzi uliotokea kwa wananchi waliwapatia nafasi, na mkumbuke kuwa mlivyokuwa kwenye kile kinyang'anyiro kulikuwa na wengine pia ambao walikuwa wanastahili kupatiwa nafasi. Wewe ulibahatika kuwa wewe kwa sasa hivi uwe mbunge wa eneo lako wa kuweza kuwakilisha wananchi wako. Mheshimiwa Spika, nitashangaa sana kwa kama wabunge hao wakienda kwenye vikao vyao kwenye vyama wanashindwa kuwaambia wakubwa wao ukweli uliopo, ya kwamba mumetumwa hapa na wananchi waliowachagua. Na waomba ndugu zangu, mkumbuke kuwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta yuko kwenye kiti kihakika, na ndio manake wabunge wa Senate wamekwenda kufanya vile wanavyotakikana kufanya. Nyinyi hapa ambaye ndio mlio wengi kushinda wale, mnashindwa nguvu na wachache wanawachezea kizungumkuti na mnakubali kuchezewa. Mheshimiwa Spika, ulimwengu una mambo mengi. Unaambiwa unavyozidi kukua ndio unaona mengi, kuishi kwingi ndio kuona mengi. Nimechaguliwa sasa kwa mara ya 4, Mheshimiwa Spika, na ninajua ya kwamba Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta mpaka tarehe 17 mwezi wa 10 yuko kwenye kiti kwa njia ya halali, na baada ya tarehe 17 tutakuwa tumepatiwa nafasi nyingine ya kuwa na rais ambaye atakakalia kile kiti, na nina imani kuwa rais huyo sio mwingine bali ni Uhuru Kenyatta ndio atakayeendelea. Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono masuala yote ambayo rais aliyazungumzia, haswa swala la amani, swala la uchaguzi, kuwapongeza kina mama, walemavu, na nikimalizia kumpongeza dadangu Teia kwa kupatiwa nafasi ya kuwa mbunge wa kaunti ya Kajiado. Mungu awabariki, tufanye kazi iliyotuleta hapa. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
The Honorable Professor Zandok Ogutu, independent.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me take this opportunity also to contribute to the address given by the President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would like to congratulate you for being elected to lead the 12th Parliament, and also extend my gratitude to my colleagues who have joined us, the honorable MPs, especially those who have been elected on the independent ticket. It wasn't a very easy job for those categories of MPs because it required a lot of effort and mobilization of their own resources to be able to make it to this parliament. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the voters of Bomachoge Borabu constituency for deciding that they didn't want to go for the party as it were, but to go for the person who had the policy and the vision of their needs. They went out in large numbers, Mr. Speaker, to be able to give me opportunity to serve in this parliament. The Speaker, Bomachoge Borabu people are agriculturalists. They love this country. They love the leadership of this country, and they are very happy with the recent initiatives that the government has already begun in the constituents. They are particularly happy with the 47-kilometer fast tarmac road in the constituents, and they're also looking forward for more benefits that will make them feel to be part of the Kenyan community. With regard to the address by the President, I want to make a number of observations. The address was extremely brief. I believe I've heard from my colleagues that previous addresses, and maybe there will be a future address when the President can provide more on especially the direction of the legislative arm during the current government, parliament. But I picked a number of interesting areas. The President spoke about devolution. Devolution is only about 4.5 years old. I'm very impressed. I was very impressed by that speech, that a lot has been achieved, and the 11th Parliament was able to see the 12th Parliament gain in terms of women, in terms of youth, and in terms of people with disabilities who have now joined this House. He spoke about elections. I want to say that the way we have been engaging in election, personally, I'm not very comfortable. Kenya is a young democracy. We have the political space that we have, the democratic space that we have created, and I think it's very important for us to be keen in picking out the lessons that are learning from what appears to be challenges in our democracy. And for that reason, I also would like to congratulate the President for accepting the court ruling and also for accepting to move ahead, be able to ensure that the democratic space is respected, and therefore the next the re-election process is allowed to take place as it has been planned. I think all I'm saying is that we need to be slow to blame. We are on a learning track, and as we are on a learning track, we have made a number of achievements which can also be a cause for us to rejoice and be able to nurture those achievements to see this country grow into greater heights. We have our friends who are watching us, and they would like to see how we react to the various circumstances and situations that come due to the growing democracy. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Kajiado East. But the one behind her is working, and even the one in front. Just come to the seat in front.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for this opportunity. And let me start by thanking God because of his great mercies and grace to bring me back to the August House for a second time. And also, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate you and your deputy for the re-election is a vote of confidence by the members of this House. Mr. Speaker, I am very grateful to the great people of Kajiado East who found it fit to return me back to the August House for a second time. Mr. Speaker, I am grateful and I thank all of them. In Kajiado East, we have people of all walks of life. Mr. Speaker, I was elected by people across the board, across the religious divides, Muslims and Christians alike, and also by all ethnic communities of this nation, because they are all in Kajiado East, and also by the indigenous community of the Maasai people, and I am very grateful. My plans for them, I will take development to a notch higher. I will continue treating all equitably and with respect, and I will give them a listening ear, Mr. But let me specifically say we are very grateful in Kajiado East that the tarmac road that we were promised by His Excellency, the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, starting from Isara, Mashuru, going to Kajiado, has started and is progressing, and we are more than grateful. Mr. Speaker, let me applaud His Excellency because of the speech that he made the other day. because, Mr. Speaker, His Excellency was able to capture the aspirations of the Kenyan people and the mood in the country at this particular moment. His Excellency talked about peace and security and respect for law, for the rule of law, Mr. Speaker. His Excellency was also able to applaud the gains made by the women of this country and the young people, most of them and a good number of them who have made to this August House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the 11th Parliament, of which I was privileged to be a part of, did a lot to implement the Constitution and also to entrench devolution. But, Mr. Speaker, looking at our various counties, there is still a lot to be done. The governors, and I believe those who have been elected back into the counties as heads, Mr. Speaker, should really take devolution seriously, should be able to use the resources wisely that are allocated by this House. Mr. Speaker, let me just say about the court ruling that was made the other day. Mr. Speaker, although Mr. Raila Odinga may have thought he was able to pull the rug under the feet of His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, I will tell Raila Odinga he put Uhuru Kenyatta a pedal higher, because he's now shown the Kenya and the world that he's a statesman who obeys the law, even when he's not necessarily in agreement with the kind of judgment that was made. And I will tell Raila Odinga, Kenya can no longer be put at ransom of one individual. From 1982, 1992, 1997, Raila Odinga has been taking this country in a circus. And it's not possible that we continue, that our children, and his grandchildren, because they call him Baba, but I think he's Babu, that is his right title, Mr. Speaker, cannot continue to be held ransom, Mr. Speaker. But on the 17th, we will show Raila Odinga again that we voted for Uhuru Kenyatta, and that Uhuru Kenyatta, his victory will be affirmed on the 17th of October. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for this opportunity.
The member who is occupying the position of the Deputy Minority Whip. Name and constituency. He's been occupying that position for the last 3.5 hours. I think it's only fair that we hear the voice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Benjamin Gadhiru Mwangi, commonly known as Major Donk, representing Embakasi Central people from Embakasi. First, I would like to thank my God for giving me the chance of being here in this house, my family, and Embakasi Central people at large for coming out in large number during the general election and deciding that the Jubilee Party is the candidate will be the one to carry the day. So I'm very happy for that. I would also wish to congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, your deputy, and the Parliament leadership for your election. It is good that Nairobi, we have gotten new faces. People of Nairobi have decided in large number that they want to be represented by the youth. And as youth in Kenya, I believe the youth are the ones that are really suffering, especially in Embakasi Central. Embakasi Central, that's where all illegal gangs where they originate. And I hope under my leadership, I will be able to help and liberate our youth. On the presidential speech, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that the president's speech was very good. he talked about the stability of the country, of which for the country to remain united, it has, and the people in it has to remain stable. I would also wish to point that the president also noted about the youth and women. I believe that Kenya is heading to the right direction. As we look at the many women that were elected on the elective positions and the youth, I believe if we head on that direction, we'll be able to achieve the 2/3 gender rule. Finally, I wouldn't wish to take a lot of time. I would say that I will congratulate each and every member of this House for the test that they went through during the nominations, mostly Jubilee, and the August, and urge them on 17th, that is October 17th, let each member mobilize his or her constituents to ensure that the win that we had during the August 8, we ensure that we will get a bigger and bigger margin than what we had. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May God bless you.
Member for Narok South.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, let me start from the onset and indeed thank God and thank the great people of Narok South for once again re-electing me overwhelmingly. And Mr. Speaker, I want to tell them that I will still work diligently for the benefit of their welfare and for that particular constituency, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also say I indeed want to congratulate you as well for being re-elected again to lead us in this House, and also thank, or rather congratulate the Honorable Deputy Speaker and all members of this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to indeed say that Kenyans have spoken on matters election this particular year. And Mr. Speaker, on the presidential speech, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I was amazed by the humility of His Excellency the President. Mr. Speaker, this is a president who once conceded defeat, that is in 2002, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker is again the only president, sitting president, who was summoned by an international court and still he obeyed. Mr. Speaker, this time around, our own Supreme Court indeed also invalidated his win, and Mr. Speaker, again, he obeyed. Mr. Speaker, it's amazing. When you look at the humility and the character of His Excellency the President. Mr. Speaker, I believe come 17th of October, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans will speak loudly once again. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the President, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, will win and will be the president of this beautiful country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the development, the transformation in this country, Mr. Speaker, speaks for itself. I know, Mr. Speaker, just the way His Excellency has actually said, that the 10th Parliament did a commendable job as far as this constitution is concerned. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that I'm proud to be associated with the 11th Parliament, which again you are leading, Mr. Speaker, because we have done a commendable job as far as implementing this constitution is concerned. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the Kenyan people have actually shown NASA, so to speak, a yellow card. So, Speaker, I want to say that come 17th of October, the people of Kenya will actually give these fellows a red card. And Mr. Speaker, that will be the end of opposition in this country. Kenyans are tired, Mr. Speaker, and I believe that Kenyans want to see more of development, Kenyans want to see more of peace, Kenyans want to see more of harmony. And I think, Mr. Speaker, it is only under the leadership of His Excellency the President that all these virtues can be seen in this country. Mr. Speaker, because of time, and I want the rest of my colleagues to contribute, I thank you, and I thank the people of Narok South as well. Thank you.
The member for Hussein is from Mandera West. Have you spoken to this motion?
No, yesterday, the whole time.
It's only that your face looks familiar, though I assume that you have spoken.
No, I have not spoken.
Okay, then it's your chance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. First and foremost, I thank the Almighty God for having given us this opportunity to be here with everybody else. And I hereby congratulate Mr. Speaker, his deputy, and all members of this House for having been elected and for having been elected as representatives of this great nation. Mr. Speaker, my names are Adan Haji Yusuf. I come from Mandera West constituency as a member of parliament. Just to touch a little about the president's speech, it was short, clear, timely, and conscientious. Mr. Speaker, it started by saying that we must fear God. And everything that starts in the name of God always succeeds. And therefore, I also take this opportunity to thank the President for urging everybody here to look keenly at the rule of law. This country has one of the most important constitutions, very clear constitutions which is very human and close to the people, and hence the President, in his wisdom, has shown a lot of patriotism by accepting the judgment of the Supreme Court just because in order to save this country from turmoil. Mr. Speaker, the President talked about peace and stability. I come from a background of peace building for many years in many countries of Africa, and without peace and stability, I am sure, and everybody else is sure, that nothing can be achieved. No development can be achieved. We shall have sleepless nights, and therefore, having peace and stability as a priority is the wisdom which the President indicated. Mr. Speaker, sir, the President also talked about our diversity being our strength as Kenyans. Kenya is composed of so many tribes, over 40 tribes, of course, different languages, and we should use that diversity as a strength, not to divide us, but to unite us, and to be proud that we can fit everywhere, every time, all the time. Mr. Speaker, sir, just maybe what I expected was, although I know because of the situation which the President was in at this particular moment, he did not mention a lot about development issues. I come from a constituency where men and women of 90 years of age and above have never seen tarmac road in their life. They don't know whether a tarmac road is black or yellow or green or white. If you tell them tarmac roads are very white, they will just accept it because they have never seen it. And I think, and I have heard from the president himself saying that he's going to connect a tarmac road from Moyale to my constituency in the near future. I will be happy to see my grandfather seeing tarmac road before he passes away soon, because he has been asking me, is tarmac road black, white, yellow, blue? Yeah. Mr. President, that is also a constituency where the backbone of our economy is livestock production. Livestock production. That is, the ribs you enjoy here, a lot of them come from there. And therefore, I will definitely, in the course of this time, come up with motions and requests to see how best we can develop our livestock industry. And I, being also an expert of the livestock.
Member for Kimilili constituency.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to contribute to the state address of Parliament by His Excellency the President. Let me also begin by thanking you for giving me this opportunity and also for being elected Member of Parliament, Speaker of the National Assembly. My name is Didmas Wekesa Barasa, Member of Parliament, Kimilili constituency. And let me begin by saying Kenya, as a country where we've reached now, we've taken quite a lot of resources and a lot of thinking, and we need to be firm so that people should not be importing their bad manners from their village into the floor of the House. This is a House where serious matters that affect Kenyans are discussed. Commenting on the President's address, I was very much touched by his warning to those individuals who think that they can hold this country at ransom by breaching the peace that we enjoy as Kenyans. In my own constituency, Mr. Speaker, sir, Kimilili constituency, every time that we have an election, lives has to be lost, including the just concluded general election. Even now, as we head to the October 17th repeat of presidential elections, people are worried who is going to be killed again. And we must also ensure that the law is applied equitably, regardless of whether we break the law, the lords who lives in the castles or the pauper who lives beneath the bridge. No one's ambition, Mr. Speaker, sir, is more important than the life of Kenyans, that for you to assume a particular political office, lives has to be lost. And within the same spirit of the President, I want to urge the security forces of this country that Kenyans looks upon them to apprehend, to investigate those who want to cause chaos in this country, Mr. Speaker, sir. As I conclude, I came into this House courtesy of the people of Kimilili constituency, and they gave me a clear instruction, Mr. Speaker, sir, that to vote for you as the Speaker of this Assembly, because they believe that you are a strict person, and we are not going to allow the shenanigans, the games that are being played by the members of the opposition in this House. It's not that we are good people, it's not that we are too honest for ourselves, but we must tell them that they are in this House to serve Kenyans, not to serve a few individuals who have been on record, sacrificing our economic gains for selfish and baseless political reasons, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Member from Murang'a County.
On House business. I've not spoken about this, Honorable Commander. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to speak. And Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I want to thank the people of Murang'a. We were among the top, actually first, #1 in the voter turnout on the 8th of August. and in voting for our president, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And so I was glad to see him coming to address the nation through this House. Mr. Speaker, I also want to really thank the people of Murang'a for having confidence in women. In his speech, the president commended the Kenyans for voting women into this House. And on record, we have 3 women who have been voted in as members of a single constituency, and myself as a member for the county, so we are 4 women out of the 8 members of parliament in this House from Murang'a County. So really, I want to tell the people of Murang'a, thank you very much. We, the women, will not let you down. Mr. Speaker, I'm also glad to see very young people, my friend KJ, who we have come from the same industry. And Mr. Speaker, initially this House, we were used to have doctors, engineers, and the likes, but we have a new team from the emerging industry. The artists, we are several of us. Personally, having come from Tausi in acting, and I'm very proud that I've been an artist, a broadcaster, and now a member of this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to promise Kenyans as young people, and especially the number of the youth, because you are the majority in this nation, that we are going to work towards achieving mainly the promises that we went round on as part of our agenda. And we promise the young people to create job opportunities for them, and we want to be part of the mentors. And I'm foreseeing in the next 10, 20 years, Mr. Speaker, that if you are 50 years, politics is not going to be your game again, because the young people will have taken over. Mr. Speaker, as the President spoke about having no vacuum in this nation, I also want to say that we have no vacuum in this House. It was, I was ashamed this morning, Mr. Speaker, to see members of this House from the other side of the opposition coming in, sneaking into this House and signing and leaving. Mr. Speaker, I would like to remind them that they call us thieves, but we now know who are the major thieves. And because coming in, this is taking money from the taxpayers, sneaking in because you don't want to be seen by your leader that you came to this House, and signing and sneaking out, again, really it's a shame, Mr. Speaker. And this is robbery with no violence or without violence, and I think we'll be naming and shaming them. We'll be looking at that list of the people who just walk in to sign and sneak out because they want to please their masters. Mr. Speaker, it was also a shame. As we look at the women in this nation, there was a case yesterday in Kisumu where some women had met for development purposes, and they were harassed, they were beaten up, just because some people in their DNA, it reads violence. We want to actually stand with those women, and as this House and also as a woman leader, I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, that this case, the police should crack the whip of those hooligans who went to harass those women. And I think women need to be given a chance in this nation in any corner. And one, they have freedom of association. Secondly, they also have freedom to assemble at any part of this nation. And Mr. Speaker, we would not like to see such cases going on. Mr. Speaker, we also have around 1.6 million of our children ready to do the examination. And Mr. Speaker, one of the opposition leader was on record trying to say that the children will not die if they don't sit for the examination. This is a shame, Mr. Speaker. And unless that person who made those statements never went to school, and of course it's in record that he's a class 6 dropout, Mr. Speaker, nobody would joke with the minds and the emotion of our children and trying to say that their examination can be moved. And so we are ready. It's now 33 days to go, so that we can again see the will of the Kenyans. Thousands of them queued and their voice was heard. And I'm very sure this time the Supreme Court will respect the sovereignty of the people of this nation and give them a chance to vote for their own president. And that is one and only Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who has this nation in his heart, who has a development agenda for this nation. And as this House, as members of this House, ours is commitment that we are going to serve the people who voted for us. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the chance.
Honorable Ntoimaga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my brothers and sisters to congratulate you for your election as a Speaker, second time, and also congratulate your deputy. I also want to congratulate the members of parliament who are elected second time or third time, and even the ones who have joined us for the first time. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank people of Samburu North in Samburu County for giving me an opportunity to serve them second time in this August House. Mr. Speaker, this is a very big, strong confidence in me, because around the county, neighboring counties, and even within my county, some of my colleagues lost. Actually, most of my colleagues lost. And that is a mandate of the people of Kenya and Samburu in general. So that this is a very important opportunity for me, and I want to promise them that I will do my best, just the way I did last time, and I want to do it better now this time, so that they can reap the fruits of good leadership. Mr. Speaker, I also want to say that even though we are talking about the presidential speech during the state opening of Parliament, people at our level, at our situation, our constituencies, especially in northern Kenya, and particularly in Samburu North, we are still suffering from insecurity. And I thought maybe during our presidential address, I expected the president to address about the issue of insecurity and cattle rustling particularly. Over the weekend, we lost 4 young men due to insecurity in that part of Kenya. And I want the government of President Kenyatta to ensure that in the near future, they should eradicate cattle theft, crooks who kill people for the sake of snatching animals, because it is a barbaric action. It is a primitive in this 21st century. So we need to bring them to the culprits to book and ensure that they go to where they belong. And I think we still need the government to do that as soon as possible. Mr. Speaker, I also want to commend the President. The President behaved from 1st of September to date. His Excellency has behaved like a statesman, a very humble, patient, patriotic, and a person who loves peace. He has shown us the way. He is a role model for us, because he has stood very as a symbol of unity. He has actually losing an election through a court, an election that we knew he won, 1.4 million votes against more than his opponent. By getting 80 million, 0.2, he had defeated Raila by 1.4 million. This is a very strong win. And all of us members here know how painful it is when you lose an election through means that you didn't expect. That day when I saw the Supreme Court announcing validation of that, nullification of that election, it's like I was dreaming. If it was me who was feeling like that, what about the owner, the person who actually won? And the votes are being annulled within seconds. It's really very unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, we know the opponents of the president. He's somebody who likes chaos. 97, 202, 207, all the time he has always been complaining and bring mass action. He's actually somebody who can be a very dangerous person in this country. And I think, God willing, we want to humble that fellow. I want to appeal to Kenyans that they vote in big numbers so that we humble him for the last time and forever. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you so much and thank my colleagues. Let us go back and ensure that our people vote in big numbers. Thank you so much.
Honorable Commander.